Good morning and welcome to our 19th weekly webcast. I've got a new setup here. I'm experimenting with virtual office studios, having a lot of fun with it too. If you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. The way it works is you type all of your questions in YouTube right beside the browser there, or beside the video in YouTube, I should say. And once all questions, we got an echo here, let me hit mute, sorry. There we go, sorry. Once all questions have been answered, then the call ends, but not until then. So ask as many questions as you want, please. Again, if you have questions, please enter them in now. So the first question I see a bunch of good mornings. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Rohit. Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Robert. Thank you for joining us. So the first question is from Robert. Robert, hi, how are you? First time you've joined us. Hope you join us again. And Robert's asking, do I cover business plan somewhere in my courses? And the answer is yes. I have a course called the Complete Business Plan course. And I released it in November of last year, or this year actually. And it will tell you everything you need to know about starting a company from scratch. And the great thing about that course is that it will help you understand if you should quit your job and start that company or not. And so the goal of that business plan is not only to help you raise money and create an amazing business plan, but to also help you understand if you have a good business model or not. So I can save you a lot of time and money. So check it out if you'd like to. It's called, again, the Complete Business Plan course. All right. Thank you, Joe, for that. Rohit is saying, late night show with Chris Haroun. Thank you. All right, let me just change this backdrop here. I've got a really cool one I want to put on here for you guys. Hold on a second, almost done. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, great. So yeah, if you have questions, please type them now. And when there's no more questions, I'll end the call. And so, while I'm waiting for a couple of questions to be entered, I've gotten a lot of questions about my upcoming course or my upcoming MBA program, and I've been flooded with a ton of emails and sign-ups for it, and that's not me trying to hype it up. Maybe a little. Just kidding. But just stay tuned, sign up for it if you want, just to be on the distribution list. To find out more, go to my website, harounventures.com, and click on the top there on this new MBA program. And when I have all the details, I'm happy to share them all with you. But one thing I'll say, and let me see if I can cue some background music here. It might be a little bit of fun. See if that's working. I'm not sure if it is. What I want to do, though, is I want to cater this MBA degree program to you, the student. And so if you have any comments on what you want me to include, please let me know, because you are the customer and the customer is always right. I've got a lot of the content already created in the syllabus. I don't know how to spell that or pronounce it, but whatever. And it will be out in 2019. But I really want to cater it towards you, the student. So if you have ideas, please let me know via email, via right here in this course, via LinkedIn, whatever it might be. I've had a lot of people ask me if I can make it an incubator as well. And the answer is yes. And Robert, you'll like this because the MBA program will actually help you start your company, raise money, and everything you need. So again, if you have ideas on what you want me to teach, please let me know. It's going to be a lot of fun. And you can see by this crazy setup here, I'm getting better. By the time we launch the MBA program, this will be dope, as my kids say. I don't know if I like them using that word dope, but I think you get the idea. All right, let me clear the background music. All right, great. So I want somebody to guess what background that is right there, okay? All right, let me go through the questions here. Late night show with Chris Haroun, thank you. Very late, meaning no one watches. So Lamarck, how are you? Good to see you again, or hear from you again. Hi, Chris, it's me again. Hope all is well. My first question is, what do you think of drop shipping businesses? I'm not an expert in that area at all, and so I don't really feel comfortable giving great advice on that. There are a couple of great Udemy courses on Amazon and eBay drop shipping that you might want to take. I have bought and sold a lot of things before online, My kids and I actually, we had a business selling iPhone cases and Android cases. And we did really well for a while. And then we ordered too much inventory and it hurt us. And inventory can destroy a company. So as you go down that path, Lamarck, on setting up a dropshipping business, please be cognizant of the fact that inventory can really hurt your business if you're not careful. But I'll leave it up to the other experts that I've actually done a lot more of that than I have. But thanks for the question. Okay, so the next question I've got is from Rohit. Can I talk about dealing with negative people and managing interactions with them? That's a great question. So what I usually do is if I'm surrounded by people at a company I work at that are negative, I know that one bad apple spoils the whole darn bunch. It is what it is. It's human nature. I try to avoid them as much as I can, or at least block out what they're saying. And if they say something that's completely unjustified, then I tell myself unjustified criticism is nothing more than a disguised compliment. Think about that. So you'll find that the more successful you get, the more people will criticize you. And I want you to embrace it because, again, it's unjustified and it might indicate that they're actually jealous, which means you're doing a great job. So keep doing what you're doing. Another thing that I do is this. If I have to be surrounded with these people, meaning I can't cut them off, and I usually cut off everybody in my life if they're very, very negative or say a lot of hurtful things. And I usually give people 2 strikes. 2 strikes, you're out. Out, as we say in Canada. But what I also do is I don't get pulled into these arguments with them. So what I'll do is this. If they try to bait me into an argument and they're very combative, I just say 2 words. 2 words. I say, I understand. And I'm not being condescending or disingenuous. Well, maybe a little bit disingenuous, a little bit. But by saying I understand, you're not saying I agree or I disagree. But just watch someone's reaction when you say I understand. Okay, what happens, they'll be like, oh, and they'll stop trying to push you. And I've been in arguments with a lot of lawyers that I've worked with in the past. I'm not a lawyer, never will be, please. And I find that they try to bait you a lot. Not all lawyers, there are good lawyers too. Like if you're a civil rights lawyer, I love you. Otherwise, just kidding, sort of, I don't know. But if they try to bait you, lawyers especially, or people that are like lawyers like to argue, just say those 2 words. I understand. I understand. And sometimes it's so frustrating working with people that are so negative. And sometimes I want you to be frustrated. And I say that with love in my heart because frustration leads to breakthrough. It leads to reinvention. You know, what was the reason you were put on this earth? You know, Mark Twain had those great quote. He said, the 2 most important days in your life are number 1, the day you're born, and number 2, the day you find out why. And the reason that you're alive or working is not to be around negative people. Okay, and so if you're frustrated at work, I think that's a good thing because it'll push you. That's my Heisman there, Heisman. It'll push you towards getting outside your comfort zone and starting your own company. Christine bought me a great shirt, and the kids too. Let me see if you can see this here. I'm gonna back up. I got this autofocus lens too. See if it works back here. There we go. See if I can do it right here. Oh, this will be cool with the background too. See, it says, the best view comes from everything's reversed, the hardest climb. So that's a great, we'll use that cover image this week. The best view comes from the hardest climb. So, sorry, that was a little bit off topic there. I just wanted to show off my new dope shirt. And I hope all of you had a wonderful Christmas and holiday and all that great stuff. All right, so let me go on to the next question. And because I want to keep it real and fun, there we go. Got rid of that there. And there should be no music in the background. And Wrigley, who works for me, if there's any issues with the sound or the video here, please do let me know. Thank you. Okay, so it looks like... oh my God, we got tons of questions. Sorry, one second here. All right, so Rohit is saying, is the new MBA program for professionals or college or high school students? Can take it as well. It's for everybody. It's for everybody because I don't think it's fair in life to stereotype against people that don't have many degrees. It's not fair. I mean, I have degrees, whatever, but there are many people out there that are much smarter than me that didn't have the luxury of having two wonderful parents raise me. And it's just stereotyping, not allowing them to get access. So you do not have to have a degree or a high school education even to take my program. But there's going to be an application process. You have to write an essay and a Skype interview as well. And I'm not going to favor anybody that went to an Ivy League school. I'm going to bring people in this program that can, number one, convince me or us or yourself that you really need to take this. And then also let me know what you can contribute life experience-wise to the student body, meaning the other students. And so it's going to be a very limited number of students that get accepted. And that's not me trying to hype it up. Maybe a little. No, it's not me trying to hype it up. But it's actually going to, it's not going to be that big because the first time I'm doing this, I want to make sure that I appeal to everybody. So it'll be a lot of fun. You'll see. You'll see. All right. I don't know if I'm digging this new lighting. I'm looking kind of white and everything, so too white. All right. Thanks, Joe. Next question. And if I miss your question, please let me know. Sometimes I scroll past them. Bogdan is saying, hello. Currently, I'm taking your course, the Complete Financial Analyst Training course. What other resources would you recommend to read to get a job as a business analyst? I recommend reading things that will not bias your opinion. Okay, so you can read the Wall Street Journal and the Financial Times. But what I want you to do, though, is not read any editorials. And please don't read anything that's called a sponsored story. Because what that means is somebody is trying to convince you to have an opinion one way or the other. And that's why that media company is getting paid by that company for sponsored stories. And sponsored stories are tough to spot sometimes. But it's happening a lot more often because a lot of media companies can't make money charging subscriptions as much as they used to. And let me show you an example. And watch this as well, because I want to show you an amazing trick on, pardon me, how you can read any article you want online, even if somebody has put up a paywall. Like, when you start reading an article and then after a couple lines or a paragraph, it says, hey, if you want more, subscribe. Or turn off ad blocker. I'm going to teach you a way around that. Okay. So what I'll do is I'm going to put my screen on here, my screen capture. I'm going to make Chris smaller. There's me. Hi, small me. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you two things. So stick with me here. I'm going to show you sponsored stories. And then I'm also going to show you how to get any article you want without paying for it. Okay. And I feel bad saying this, but I hate when people want to charge a lot for different things that you can get free elsewhere. Okay. So the first thing I'll do is let's go to Yahoo Finance. Okay. Finance.yahoo.com. Okay. And let's scroll down here. Okay. You see right here? So you'll see it'll say sponsored stories if you look closely. Sometimes it does. I'm looking here. I always see them. All right, here's what I'll do. I'll do a search, Control F for the word sponsored on this webpage. Oh my God, it's not here. Okay, if you see sponsored stories, then you know not to read that. I can't leave you hanging here. I think you know what I'm talking about. That's how we say it in Canada. So if I go to CNN.com, and sometimes they'll have these pictures, which are clickbait. All right. Okay. So when you see opinion here, also, I don't want you to read these, okay? Because I want you to form your own opinions. Because everybody that's interviewed on television or on the internet, in most cases, in business, they're a CEO or a shareholder. If they're a CEO, of course, they're only going to say positive things about their company. If they're a shareholder, of course, they're going to say positive things about that company as well. And sometimes they won't even give you the caveat that they are biased, but they really should. But whenever you see the word sponsored stories, just don't read those. I promise you, they're everywhere. Okay, it's just I'm having that that awful moment this morning where I can't find something. But let me show you something else. Okay, so let's go to wallstreetjournal.com. And wallstreetjournal.com, and I want to show you the free article idea. Okay, and doing this will ensure I will never get sponsored by anybody on my YouTube channel. All right, so say we want to read Apple investment that costs billions. Okay, you're curious about it. You're like, oh, wait a second. Subscribe to read the full story? That kind of sucks. I want to read that. Here's what you do. You copy this. Copy. Open a new tab, and then you Google it. Or you Bing it if you're the one person at Microsoft that is forced to use Bing. All right, so here it is here. Let's click on it. Oh my God, this is killing me. Maybe I have to go into private mode. New private window. Let me try here. All right, it might have recognized me cookies-wise. We'll go to Google. Then we'll do a search. All right. Oh my God, it's killing me. I promise you this works. I promise you it does. I have to try FT now, okay? I can't leave you hanging again, okay? This is the most embarrassing moment I've had on a call ever. Okay, let's click here and we'll see. Okay. Aha, okay, it's trying to make me pay here. Okay, so let's go back here. And then let's go here. And then I will go into another browser. I'll paste it. Okay, here it is. FT. Yes! All right, it worked. It worked. It worked. Yay. Okay, good. Let me do one more just to show you it worked. I like the FT better than the Wall Street Journal anyway. It's more global in nature. Wall Street Journal is a little bit US biased sometimes, to be honest. I mean, it makes sense. That's who their customers are. The FT is from England, of course, just like the BBC, which is cool news. All right, so let's do one more, okay? So here's what we're going to do. Let's go back to the Financial Times homepage again. And let's scroll down and let's find an article that's not biased. All right, or that will upset people or put you in a bad mood this morning. All right, let's go to Kenyan women changed their lives with a new way to buy a home. Okay. Oh, it's not blocked. Maybe it's not blocked because I already entered that one that was unblocked here. Oh, here we go. Good. Okay. Another block. And this one was tax cuts leave U.S. on unstable fiscal path a year on. And by the way, when everyone's freaking out in the markets, that's when I buy. Okay, just do the opposite. All right, so let's try this now. Let's search for this one. Search. Tax cuts, here it is. There you go. There you go. I got it to work. So hopefully that's helpful. Let me just go back over here to get back on the call with y'all. And then again, if you have questions, please enter them in. Thank you. So those are the resources, Bogdan, that I recommend. I recommend reading. No messages from Wrigley must be going well, sound-wise and stuff. And so just don't get biased by anybody. And if you want to read like theoretical stuff, which I hate, but you can do it. So here's a couple of books that I recommend. And let me just go back on big-headed Chris mode with a different background this time. Clear layer. All right, we're good to go. I like that one for some reason. Okay, so if you want to read books on business books, my top 3 business books are number 1, The Intelligent Investor. Sorry about the green screen there. And this was written by Benjamin Graham. And what happened was Benjamin Graham really influenced Warren Buffett to the extent that the only reason Warren Buffett went to Columbia University is because Benjamin Graham was a teacher there. And so when Warren Buffett, and actually when I went to Columbia and Warren Buffett came and lectured once, it was great. He brought his wife. It was awesome. And his wife was teasing him because what he did was Warren Buffett brought this book with him on their honeymoon, which I thought was pretty funny. But this will teach you about investing basics and being long-term focused and valuing companies based on cash, etc. Another book I like is this, and this will Bogdan, this will go well with your question on what to read and how I warn you not to read anything biased. This is called When Genius Failed. And it's a story about a hedge fund called Long-Term Capital Management that was founded by a number of Nobel Prize winners, really smart people that speak gooder than me. And basically, they started this hedge fund, fixed income hedge fund, bond trading, FX currencies, etc., in Connecticut. And everyone thought, oh my God, it's going to work out so well. But they failed. They failed. And nobody is smarter than you. Okay, I'm not trying to sound like your parent in that way, but I think perception becomes reality when it comes to intelligence in business. And intelligence in business is just perceived competence, because confidence leads to perceived competence. Okay, so don't let anybody that has a bigger vocabulary than you or me, I don't know, tell you how to invest. And here's another one here. So I sent out a vlog on Christmas Day. It was an auto vlog. I didn't work that day. Okay, it automatically got sent. But that vlog basically said that trading is not a full-time profession. Okay, day trading. It's not a job. It's not a career. You will get burnt. I promise you. You'll lose a lot of money in the long run. And this is another book I like. It's called Fooled by Randomness. It's kind of hard to read, but the bottom line message is if you make money near term on a stock, many times it's because the whole market went up or that sector went up. So don't get fooled by randomness, because when people try to day trade, which again is a recipe for disaster, what happens is what happens when they day trade is they quite often they're right for the wrong reasons or wrong for the right reasons, and there's only 20 trading days in each month anyway. So I'm kind of bummed. I just looked here and I've got this, I think, in 720p. Hold on one second. I'll show you what I'm using here, but I had 4K set up. Damn it. All right, hold on one second. Sorry if this is slowing us down, but I'll let you see what I'm seeing here too. I'm just going to go to my software output settings. Okay, I'm not going to change it. Damn it. Right there. I actually had it much higher resolution, so I forgot. Anyway, sorry. Next week, the resolution, I promise you'll be crystal clear. It's so crystal clear you can see my unibrow a little bit. All right, let me clear this layer and get back to Big Chris, and I'll get rid of the background as well. Damn. All right, hold on one second. Clear. We're good. All right, sorry about wasting your time there. Okay, so Paul says, hi, Chris. Thanks for your words last week. I hope you had a Merry Christmas. Could you share some tips to create a successful remote working culture? Yeah, so it's interesting because Wrigley and I work together, and we're always remote. I don't know where he is. He never knows where I am. No idea. So I think that just positive feedback helps a lot. And when it comes to millennials, I love millennials. Millennials were kind of born digital. They're used to this. They're used to a lot of social proof. And so I think that you have to make sure that you always give feedback and don't let things lag, meaning if you want to correct them on something, make sure to set up a call or meet them in person, just to give them some honest feedback. It's easier to give negative feedback in person, which is why I never call a meeting with Wrigley, because he's perfect. Wrigley works with me, by the way. So I think that always having constant communication is important, and just letting people know where you stand. And if you work for somebody that manages you remotely, you've got to set up a call once every quarter at least and just ask for feedback. How am I doing? And it's really important, because if you don't, then when it comes time to promotion, you won't get a promotion and you won't get a raise. And so if you want to get promoted, and this applies to everybody, and with all my answers, I always try to be very generic as well. So what I recommend is meet with your manager every 3 months, or speak with her or him if you're being managed remotely, and just ask them, thank you very much for the opportunity, but what do I need to accomplish in order to get promoted to the next level? And they'll give you a set of criteria. And then 6 or 12 months later, set up another call and just say, remember, and you said I have to do this and this and this to get promoted. Well, I've done it. So promote me, damn it. That sort of thing. So anyway, but I think a call every 3 months is important, because if you don't do a call every couple of months or have a status update, then what will happen is, it's tough to kind of share this with you, but you'll get let go. You'll get let go because every business is cyclical, and we are entering a cyclical downturn right now, which is my favorite time to buy stocks. But if we go into a cyclical downturn, what happens is that big companies, every single manager is asked to give up people, give up heads. And what happens, they cut into muscle and not just fat. They tend to overfire, and they overhire in bull markets too. It's just the way it is. So make sure you understand where you stand. Otherwise, the next time the economy turns hard, you might be the one that's let go. And I hope that doesn't happen. But if it does happen to you, if you get let go at one point and feel low, I guess, don't worry, because it might be the best moment career-wise for you ever. Because so many people got fired and then got frustrated and created their own companies to show them. This guy worked at Merrill Lynch, Michael Bloomberg. And Michael Bloomberg got fired by Merrill Lynch. And of course, he's a billionaire. Not that money is an indication of how much I respect you. But he also became mayor. All right. Next up, Robert. What was the website I mentioned? Oh, hold on one second. I don't remember, Rob. Let me just do a search on you here, because I showed Yahoo Finance, which was wrong. I'm going to do Control F search on Robert. All right. Yeah, I'm not sure what you're referring to, but I showed a couple of websites. I showed the Financial Times, ft.com, as well as the Wall Street Journal, wsj.com. And I showed you how if there's ever a paywall and you can't get access to the article, then you can copy the article title and paste it into Google. It works, except if you're giving a live webcast like I am right now. No, it worked. I showed you guys how it worked with the Financial Times. All right, and quick bonus. Oh, can anybody tell me? Spilled my coffee a bit. I have a drinking problem. There you go. I have to cover this up. But can anybody tell me where this is? Okay. You have to tell me the movie. And then you have to tell me where that is. Okay, that's myself and my son, Dylan. He's like a son to me. All right. Oh, Jeremy's right. Hong Kong. Attaboy, Jeremy. Okay, Jeremy, you've got 1 point so far, okay? And there's going to be more cities in the background starting right now. Where's this? And I might have to move for you, okay? It's that time again. What city are we in? Where is this? I feel like Godzilla. Where is this? This should give it away. This dude and this dude. And there's a little bridge right there between those buildings, which is dope. All right. Let me know. And I'll give you, actually I won't give you a hint. But I saw this movie, Crazy Rich Asians, and it was based in Singapore. That picture's not Singapore. And they had the most gorgeous buildings owned by Las Vegas Sands. I didn't realize that those hotels, they have a couple hotels, looks like a deck of cards. It's dope. Hopefully I have students here today from Singapore. Okay, great. So a lot of people got Hong Kong right. Good job. All right. No, Joe said Shanghai. I would have guessed that too. I went to Shanghai on business a bunch of times. Every time I go there, dude, the city looks completely different. It's almost like the Chinese government said, we own Manhattan. Let's remove everything from Manhattan, the island, and rebuild it again better, right, with wider roads, but in 3 days. It looks like Blade Runner every time I go to Shanghai. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's my favorite soundtrack too, is Blade Runner, the first one. All right, so Alex. Thank you, Alex. So Alex, Lamarck, you can talk to Alex. I love when you guys collaborate. It's awesome. And he'll tell you about drop shipping. He said markets get overcrowded. And if you guys want, you guys can connect offline or here even. I don't care. Whatever you want to do. All right. So next question is from from Rohit. Will the new MBA program have other people from the tech and finance world who will do guest lectures? That would be cool. Yes, and thank you. And I am going to do a screen print on that right now. Hold on. Great. Done. Thank you. All right. Yeah. We're going to. And I've actually figured out, like, if you look at this, and let me show you actually the setup I'm playing with right now. So let me just do this shot here, and I will make Chris small again. There we go. There's small Chris. Hey there. So I've got this virtual software here that I'm playing with, and if anybody wants me to show you how it works, I'm happy to do so. But it's amazing because you can change a lot of things about this. So if I wanted to, I can actually have remote people sit on one side of the desk, and I can sit on the other side. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And by the time I get this green screen all done, it's going to look so amazing. Like you're not even going to realize that this is a green screen. And I've got it set up so that I painted the ceiling, the wall, the doors, everything. And I got a super badass wide cinema lens, 14 millimeter for the camera nerds out there like me. And it'll be amazing. And I'll have guest lecturers in remotely too. And my goal is to make it so that you have no idea if they're sitting with me or not. Okay. So, all right, let me clear this layer. Anybody get this yet? These are hints. Oh my God, I can't go there because the green screen cut off. I was going to touch those buildings. That's right, I cut it off there. All right, let me go back to bigger screen, Chris. And once I see somebody guess that, then I'll throw up another city. All right, but yeah, no, I will do that. But it's not just going to be tech and finance. It's going to be more global than that. Like I'll have guest lecturers from all walks of life as well. And my network, I say humbly, is very, very good. So yeah, I'll do that as well. That's a great idea. Thank you. All right, great. Next up is from Lamarck. Thank you for the answer, Chris. By the way, what is the difference between financial analyst and a stock trader? Can a financial analyst execute a trade or just give advice? Okay, so the way it works is this. I'll talk about, so there's something called the buy side and the sell side. Okay, the sell side means a trading floor like Goldman Sachs trading floor or Morgan Stanley's trading floor. Okay, and they sell stocks to the buy side. The buy side are mutual funds or hedge funds who, of course, buy the stocks. Okay, and the way it works is within a buy side firm, which again is a mutual fund like Fidelity or a hedge fund like George Soros' firm. The way it works is you have the portfolio manager, okay, and that's the person who decides what to buy or sell, and she or he is not the trader. I'll get there in a second. Then working for the portfolio manager are analysts covering different sectors. Like there might be one person, like I used to do, covering the technology sector, another one covering consumers, another covering industrials, another covering financials, another covering healthcare, and then global ones as well, a bunch of them, okay? And the analysts will pitch ideas to the portfolio manager. And the portfolio manager's job is not just to make more money than the stock market average, but to also create a diversified portfolio made up of a number of different stocks in different sectors. Then what happens is this. Okay, so those are financial analysts that work for the portfolio manager. Then the portfolio manager, when the portfolio manager is ready to make a trade, will send the trade to the trader at the big mutual fund or hedge fund. And eventually this will be replaced by technology. A lot of it, not all of it. So that's how it works. And so portfolio managers usually don't trade. It does happen rarely, but more often than not, it's a trader actually does it. Hopefully that answers your question. If it doesn't, please do let me know. Thanks. Okay. Next question is from Alex. With regards to becoming a venture capitalist, how would you recommend getting there? A current plan is to do 2 years investment banking at a bulge bracket and then move to a big VC. Would you recommend this or going to a startup? So I wouldn't do that, what you recommended. And I see it happen all the time. Okay, and it ends very badly. I have friends that will go to Harvard, and then they'll, or Harvard Business School or whatever it is, work a couple of years in investment banking, or in between undergrad and business school, they'll work in investment banking, and then they'll go to a venture capital firm, and they can't rise through the ranks. Okay, they can get in, but they can't rise through the ranks. They might be partner, but not general partner. General partner means you're more senior than a partner. Okay. And the reason they can't rise through the ranks is because they haven't started a company before. They haven't been successful, or they haven't failed. Right? You can't just sit and when you invest in companies, you sit on the board. And when you sit on the board of these companies, you have to give advice to an entrepreneur how to run their startup. And that advice, a lot of times, is not based on what you learn in business school. It's based on your experience starting a company. And so what happens is there's a lot of former investment bankers that work in venture capital that are walking dead. And I'm sorry to use that terminology, but if you haven't started a company before, you can't really manage a portfolio in venture capital of startups because you don't have the experience. It's like me saying, I want to teach you Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. Or maybe I studied Spanish in school for a semester, whatever. So I highly recommend getting work experience first, and do venture capital later in life. Don't do it early on. Okay, it's a disaster. Of course, there are exceptions. The people that start companies out of, I don't know, undergrad or high school, they might become a partner and do well. But you got to be experienced first. Okay, don't do it. Don't do it because you won't be as marketable if you do it too, and you'll be frustrated. And a lot of friends of mine, I have lots actually. There's a buddy of mine who was my student at Stanford, my guest lecturer there a bunch of times. And he's a good friend. I'm good friends with him. He went to a venture capital firm right out of Stanford Business School. And he made it, I think he was like a more junior entry-level executive, post-MBA. And he got frustrated because he couldn't rise through the ranks. They wouldn't make him a partner. And so he quit. And I'm glad he quit because he's doing his own thing now and he's going to be tremendously successful. So do not do venture capital early in life. Wait until later. Okay, wait until much, much later. And this is for everybody here, Alex included. When you start your career or your first job or second job, whatever it is, before you start and before you apply for that job, ask yourself, why do I want that job? Alex, why do you want to be an investment banker? And I'm not just picking on you. I'm saying all this with love in my heart. But I remember when I was at McGill, we all wanted to be investment bankers. And when I teach at business schools, everyone wants to be investment bankers. And a lot of people don't know what it is. Investment banking can be really tough. And people say, no, you make a lot of money. You actually don't. You make the same amount of money as a 9-to-5 person that graduated with you. Because by the hour, I mean, you're working crazy hours, right? You'll get out of shape. You might lose friends, whatever. If you're going to do investment banking, sorry. Damn it, I can't retract this stuff. It's like Justin Timberlake at the Super Bowl years ago. I'm in trouble here. Just kidding. But if you're going to do investment banking, just draw a line in the sand, do it for a couple of years, and then get out. Okay, don't stay forever doing that. All my students want to be bankers. Okay, like my in-class business students, they don't know why. Just ask yourself why. You got to enjoy it. And I actually had a good friend of mine. He Harvard and then Goldman. He actually worked with a guy, and he told me a story about this guy at Goldman Sachs. And this guy had an MBA from Harvard. And when he was at Goldman Sachs, his boss, he worked in investment banking, kept asking him to change PowerPoint slides slightly. And he would do little things like make him change the little bubble in a Venn diagram. You got two circles here, sort of, right? Make one slightly bigger than the other. And he lost it. And he told my buddy, Dave Potter, who now is, he works at Fuller and Taylor here. He told Dave, if he asked me to move that bubble one more time, even a millimeter, I'm quitting. And he quit. That's what happened. So it's my Advil. Speaking of which, yeah. All right. So hopefully that answered your question, Alex. But just decide what the end goal is, man. Like, just decide why you want to do something. Okay. All right. So, Robert's saying, instead of saying, I understand when you get into an argument, say, oh, I see. Okay. That's fair. Okay, Rohit is saying, will the new MBA help us connect with venture capital firms? I don't think I'll do that. I might actually. I'm not sure yet. I mean, no, I will do it because you asked. I will. Okay, so what I'll do is this. So part of the MBA program is there's going to be an incubator part to it where everybody has to write a business plan and I help you perfect your business plan. Then we're going to have demo day, okay, where you're going to basically show your product or service to other people. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it. I might even get Ilya, who's a great professor at Stanford, and a buddy of mine. He teaches venture capital at the school there, and I participate in his classes all the time. I might get him to help out as well, just with advice as a guest speaker. How's that? I think what's important for me to do is there's that saying, which I'm going to butcher, unfortunately, which is this: give a person a fish they eat for a day, teach them how to fish they eat for a lifetime. And so I'm going to teach you how to fish. Okay. There's also another saying, which is this: I can take you to the water, but I can't force you to drink it. So I want to empower you and empower the empowerers and help you understand how to do it. I want to throw you, and I say this with love in my heart. This is weird, but I want to throw you in the deep end of the pool, and make sure that you can survive in business and thrive as well. Okay. Thanks, but keep them coming. Thanks. I'm actually going. I guest lecture at Stanford on that VC panel you're talking about. I did it 4 times actually in the past month. Just go out and search for Stanford on my vlog, and I bring you to school and I give you a tour of the campus and I explain the whole thing. Okay, and I'm actually going back there in I think it's April to do it again. I do it every semester. Okay. Yes, you're right. My students will outperform Stanford grads in 15 to 20 years. I agree. All right, Joe. Joe is saying, and I'm so competitive. What I'm setting up here is a mixture of Stanford Business School, Harvard Business School, Columbia, my alma mater represent, and CNBC. Okay, and that's why I have this whole desk set up here. Let me see if I can show you again. That's why I have this desk set up here. It's going to look more professional, and you can even see in the background. It's pretty cool. You can see different cities. I can change it up that way. It will look perfect. Again, I'm broadcasting this in 720. It's supposed to be in 1080p with 60 frames per second, which is way better than this looks now. I just hit the wrong button. It's too late. Anyway, let me clear that layer. All right, good. Great. All right. So Joe is saying interviewers at some companies love to see an MBA and years of experience on a resume. How do you emphasize less intangible experience, like travel or online courses, reading books, and learning on your own? That's a great question. So I find that a lot of times the most successful people in business that I meet are the ones that did not go to an Ivy League school. They just worked extraordinarily hard. And they're my favorite people to partner with or invest in, right? I want somebody that's poor, smart, and hungry, okay? Or 2 or 3 of those, or 3 or 3, whatever. I want somebody that's been given a poor set of cards in life, and it's not fair. And I want to help them out tremendously. So anyway, I want to give as many opportunities as I can to those that haven't been provided opportunities like I have. But I've struggled a lot too. I failed a lot too. And I've learned a lot through failure. But I want to teach, and I often teach on, I'm assuming everyone here is my Udemy student or maybe Amazon or somewhere else you came from. But I teach based on my successes and failures and real life work experience. And I'm not that economics professor like Bueller, that has never worked a day in their life. Okay. All right. So, yeah, I mean, an MBA is, the thing about an MBA is it can get your foot in the door in terms of getting interviews. And the only reason you should go to a full-time MBA school is if you want to change careers. And you've tried by networking, but you can't. And in hindsight, I would not have done an MBA because I would have networked a lot to get that job in finance. And so what happened with me was I did an undergraduate degree at McGill University. I studied management information systems. And the degree was called BCom, Bachelor of Commerce. And then I worked in tech consulting. I loved it. And then I wanted to work on Wall Street. And I called up and, they didn't even want to take my resume. And I didn't realize then that if you're persistent, like a pit bull on a pork chop, and you keep networking over and over and over again, that you will get what you want. And so I think I would have been able to network a lot and get a job in finance instead of taking 2 years off and spending a lot of money doing an MBA. I have no regrets. I went to a great school and I have great friends there. But I think you can do it without an MBA. And the best way to do it is, Joe, I'm not sure if you've done this before, but go to my website. It's harounventures.com. And when you're there, just scroll down and you can download a book for free, a book on networking. And I promise you, Joe, that if you apply the techniques that I teach in those 212 pages, it's all free. And you watch the 2.5 hours worth of YouTube videos that are linked within that book, all free, obviously, as well. I promise you, you will get that job if you're persistent. The thing is, you have to be willing to fail 10 times in a row before you can be successful. Please fail 10 times in a row. Okay. It's like dating. And I should never give dating advice because Christine's way out of my league. But if you ask a ton of people out in a date, eventually somebody's going to say yes. Don't shortchange yourself. Okay, just be willing to fail a lot. And I'm going to do a vlog on this one. I'm just thinking of it now, called the 3 most important words in the world that you can say to yourself, which are this. You ready? I don't care. I don't care. Because if you start living your life, and this isn't just at you, Joe, it's everybody. And it's kind of the crux for the vlog that I published yesterday, which is don't ever live your life to try to impress anybody, because you're living your life for them, not for yourself. And you shouldn't care what people think of you. All the best entrepreneurs in the world, they don't give a damn what people think about them. That's why they're so successful. Their mind and their career has not been shaped and pushed in this direction when they want to go this way. Okay, so, and I'm not telling you to be disrespectful to your parents. That wasn't the whole point of my vlog last night. But I'm telling you just to follow your heart and do what you want to do. And don't try to impress anybody ever. And I promise you'll be way more successful that way. Right? It's kind of like, it's like this. And many of you on this call will appreciate this and you'll understand. Bonus points, someone tell me what the background is there. So, do you remember when you interviewed a lot and you just couldn't get that job? Or you asked a lot of people out on a date and they just didn't say yes. Then what happened was, after a while you got frustrated and you went to an interview and you're like, I just don't care. I don't care if they hire me. And I'm not telling you to be rude and disingenuous, but you were just yourself. You were just yourself, and you got the job because of that, right? It's kind of like that, or you got that date because you didn't care as much, right? You told yourself you didn't care, and it's a much less stressful way to live too. I think that half the stress in our lives, right? Half the stress in our lives are from trying to impress other people, okay? And the other stress is smaller, actually, which is work stuff. And if you get rid of that, I can breathe again. It's almost like you lift those claustrophobic clouds off of you. It's a cloudy day in this city here. What city is this? Bonus points, anybody tells me. Okay. Once you lift that cloud of doubt, that cloud of non-confidence, that cloud of caring what people think, that's when you start to soar and you live your life on your terms. So anyway, and when it comes to getting a degree, like, make sure you're doing it for the right reasons, because you're intellectually curious or you want to get that degree because you need it without networking. I think that a lot of things in life you can get without going to school full time. And I feel like my kids, and this is my youngest one here, And I'll scroll down and see if anybody got this right. Oh my God, got to cover that up. Sorry, where that's from. I think my kids will be the last generation that feel like they have to go to a great school, and I'm not forcing them to do anything. It's their life on their terms. When they ask me questions like, should I be a doctor or a lawyer? I'm like, it's your life. You do what you want to do. If you want to be a gamer, MLG, do what you want to do. Do what makes you happy, Andrew, Matthew, and Dylan. And I'm the catalyst to help you get there. But just do what you want to do in life. Do what you love doing, because I don't want you to live your life for me. That's what I tell my kids. But we do try to make our parents proud. We do. And that's love. And when our parents try to tell us, what career we should focus on, they just don't want you to struggle. I get it. Like, a lot of parents want you to be an engineer or a doctor, but then you become that, and yeah, you've got enough money because of that, but then you're absolutely miserable. And I think that being happy in your heart is more important than having a lot of money and being unhappy. So, and for those of you that really want to experience what I just mentioned there, go to Mumbai. There was a school that paid me to go overseas and give some speeches. And when I landed in Mumbai, and the limo was taking me to Four Seasons hotel, they paid for it, not me. But what happened was we drove through the slums. And Mumbai has like 25 million people, and more than half of them live in the slums. Of course, there's many rich areas too. And that trip changed me, because I looked at a lot of these kids and older people too in the slums. All of them were happy. It was like a perma smile. It was amazing, because they have nothing to lose. I'm sure if you live in the slums, you're not insecure either. And I bet you people that live in the slums, I'm not talking about people that live in extreme poverty in violent areas, but I bet you that they're happier than the people on Wall Street. Okay, because Wall Street is, the cancer of Wall Street is everybody compares themselves to those that make more. And the Dalai Lama once had this great quote. He said, the problem with Western society is we sacrifice our health, our entire lives, in order to make money. And then at the end of our lives, we sacrifice all of our money in order to maintain our health. And then we look back on our lives and we realize we never really lived to begin with. Okay, and your health will actually be better if you do what you want to do. Okay, it's amazing how self-correcting the human body is. If you're very happy, you'll be more productive, and you'll live a longer, more fruitful life. Just take your breaks. I burned out big time because I didn't take my breaks. So anyway, obey the Sabbath, right? And that's actually, the basis for a couple big religions is the Old Testament, right? And whether it doesn't matter what religion you are. Like those 10 rules were the basis of law. And the ways to live our lives. And our foremothers and forefathers, thousands of years ago, whatever, they all knew to take one day off a week. It doesn't have to be Saturday, it can be Sunday. But just take that one day off a week, spend it with family, and it's the best investment you can make in yourself. All right. But Joe, if you have follow-ups on that, please let me know. You got a follow-up here. Okay, you're saying, how do I emphasize less tangible experiences? Okay, so what you got to do is always differentiate yourself, Joe, and this goes to everybody, if you want to get a job somewhere or get into a school. And if I'm a manager at a company, I'm looking to hire somebody, okay, and I've got a big team. Or if I'm an admissions director at HBS, Harvard Business School, HBS, 2/3 of which is BS, Joe, right? Right. But if I'm an admissions director or a manager, and there's lots of people that I need to hire, I'm going to try to populate the student body or employees in my company with people with different experiences, because those different life experiences can help to diversify the culture of the firm. And somebody earlier asked about culture. Here's another way to embrace it and make it gooder, better. So, like, for example, I'll tell you what I did. Okay, so I went to, and I mentioned this on a previous webcast, so I'll keep this answer relatively short. But I wanted to go to graduate school. And I knew that, there's so many other people applying. with way better backgrounds than I have. And so what I did was in my last year, in order to make myself look different to the admissions director, I went on exchange. And so back in 1994, I'm dating myself here big time. I was at McGill University in Montreal, where I learned a lot about, I can't remember what I learned, sorry. I don't know what that means. Just kidding. But what I did was I wanted to do something no American had on my application for graduate school. So I went on exchange to Cuba. I went on exchange to the University of Havana. And I knew it was a risk too because, well, back then Americans were not allowed to actually go to Cuba. So it was because Cuba was communist. Obviously, it still kind of is. But it was a risk. But it certainly helped me to stand out when I applied. And so obviously I wrote about that in my essays, Joe. Yeah. Anyway, think of it that way. And Joe, if you want to apply to an MBA school, what I recommend doing is spend a lot of time in your essays. And there's this great book which helped me with my essays a lot years ago. And here's what I did. I'll tell you the book as well. I'm buying time as I think of what is it again? Just kidding. So the book is called Marketing Yourself to the Top Business Schools. And the book, Marketing Yourself to the Top Business Schools, is written by a husband and wife team called Carpenter and Carpenter. And what they do, and it's about 150 pages, a small book, right? It's 6 by 9, 150 pages. And they really help you differentiate yourself. And so what I did was, it was 1998 when I was applying to business school. You know, I'd already written the GMAT, whatever. And I went and I played golf by myself. And when I was golfing and go on long walks by yourself, and this goes for everybody in this call, please, all my answers are generic enough. It applies to everybody, humbly, if I can help. Go on a long walk by yourself or go play golf. And in between holes, sit down on a park bench and just write in the margins of that book, Joe, little notes, okay? And for me, what I actually do is, and Steve Jobs, I learned this from Steve Jobs. I never met him, but I learned this from him, and from Larry Ellison, which is take that walk. Go on a lot of walks by yourself because what's going to happen is you're ultimately going to come up with the best ideas when you're not distracted by too many elements. And when you're walking, you take in a lot of oxygen, okay? And your brain is like a muscle, okay? And you're feeding your brain and you're releasing serotonin and endorphins. And a lot of people that will take these depression drugs, and I'm not judging or say you should or shouldn't do it, but a lot of people that do that, basically what's happening is when you take Prozac, it's releasing serotonin in your brain, make you happier. But you know what? A better way to do it is to go for a long walk because you're also creating serotonin in your brain. Okay, or exercise a lot. And when you go on these long walks, just think to yourself where you want to be direction-wise in your life in 5, 10, 15 years. Okay, my best business decisions come that way. And I pulled this out because I want to show you something. So if you have an iPhone, okay, sorry, Android people, but if you have an iPhone, what you can do is if you upgrade to the new OS operating system, you can create shortcuts. And a lot of times I'm working on 5 different things at once. Okay, so watch this. Blog. Okay.
You'll need to continue in mail.
Okay, I love the Australian accent because anybody who speaks Australian, if you close your eyes and listen to them, it sounds like they're smiling. Such a wonderful accent. You can get a man's voice and a woman's voice as well. All right, so I just wrote vlog, okay, or blog. And what you can see here, it's kind of hard for you to see, but automatically an email was opened up and the subject line is the word vlog, okay? So, and then what I'll do is later in Gmail, I'll do a search on the word vlog or blog in the subject line. And I'll have all these ideas here. And the same thing with my MBA one too. So I'll show you, Rohit, actually, you'll like this. Watch this, I'll go. MBA.
You'll need to continue.
So now I've got it open. And this is where I type that note to myself. So here we go. I'll go. Rohit is asking that we set up a way to introduce to venture capital firms as part of MBA program, like Stanford does. Okay. All right. And then what I'll do is, you see it there. I don't know if you can see that at all. I'm so sorry but I've got it there, and the subject line says add MBA, and I'll click send. Okay, so Joe, you can bring that book with you if you want, Marketing Yourself to the Top Business Schools, or you can and when you come up with ideas, you can either write them down in the margins. And I had a Palm Pilot back then made by US Robotics, which got bought by Qualcomm, which got bought by HP, which threw it in the garbage. But I had a Palm Pilot then, but you can use this thing or just write in the book. Okay, sorry, that was kind of a long-winded answer, but that should help you to kind of differentiate yourself, Joe, versus other people. Okay. All right, but when you set your goals, just make sure you understand why. Why is this a goal of mine? Why is this a goal? Okay. All right. So next up is from Uriel. Hey, Uriel, how are you? How does one learn and become an expert investor in all different asset classes other than research the stock market? For example, how do you learn bonds, currencies, and commodities? Your question makes sense. It does. Thank you. I know you wrote, does my question make sense? So the best way to learn, a lot of people, when they invest or learn about investing, they learn the stock market first because it's the easiest thing to understand, right? If I were to buy shares in Quest, ticker might be QST. I'm making this up. I understand the product. I've used it. I want to invest. It gets a little bit more complicated when you're looking at investing in things that are a little more esoteric or complex, like bonds. Okay, and bonds are basically just a loan. Okay, it's like you and I go to the bank, get a loan. Bonds are loans for big companies, okay, or for countries. And if you want to understand how bonds, which is also called fixed income, and it's called fixed income because dividends are fixed. Okay, it's usually the same, bond, dividends, whatever, coupons. But the best way to learn it is to go to ft.com. Okay, and the Financial Times is probably the best global business website there is. Okay, and just go there and read. Okay, and I told you not to read anything editorial, but I want you to read what's called the LEX column, LEX column, which is something that always has a big influence on Wall Street. I think they still make it. I haven't checked in years, but it should be there. And if you read the Wall Street Journal, just read everything about, whenever you see a headline which says oil up or oil down, or copper up or copper down, or bonds up or bonds down, or interest rates up or interest rates down, then read that article just so you can understand it. And what I also recommend is there's a vlog that I made, and it's called Interest Rates for Dummies, as taught by an idiot. No, the Idiot's Guide to Interest Rates, as taught by an idiot. And that will explain a lot for you. It's like 15 minutes. It'll explain what you're asking very, very quickly. But the bottom line is also just read the FT and Wall Street Journal if you want to. Just make sure you don't read the editorial parts of it. Okay. All right. Hold on. Sorry. I just got it. Sometimes a lot of questions come in at once. All right. Here we go. All right. Last week you mentioned about instead of investing in mutual funds, you recommend ETFs. You also mentioned, can you walking through an ETF? Okay. So I think the best way for me to do this is, all right, I'm going to get small. That's me small. And then what I'll do is we'll do a screen capture, and pardon me, we'll talk about ETFs. Okay. All right. So problem with teaching in here is it gets kind of hot. All right. So for those of you not familiar with ETFs, I'm going to walk you through from scratch what they are and how to access them. And so there's just a wealth of information out here that's free to use. So I'm going to go to Yahoo Finance. Okay, it's the easiest one to understand. And you can type up ETFs for anything. I'm going to show you several different ways. And I don't recommend buying mutual funds. I'll never tell you what to buy, but I don't recommend buying mutual funds because what happens is there are ridiculous fees. 3, 4, and 5% at times. And then what happens is you end up paying a bigger tax bill as well because portfolio managers at mutual funds will trade a lot. And if you hold something for more than a year, you pay less taxes. they don't care about your tax mandate. They'll buy and sell a lot. Okay, and they'll chase performance. Like what happened yesterday in the markets when it was up 1,000 points, biggest one-day increase in history. There's many reasons why it went up. One of them was because, and I've been there before, portfolio managers chasing their bonus before year end. So anyway, but I'll show you ETFs here, and ETFs don't have 3 or 4 or 5% fees per year. It's usually 0.5% or less, and ETFs, 90% of them, 90% of mutual funds underperform ETFs. Okay, it's a big scam. Mutual funds are a scam, and you can go in my vlog and watch a vlog I wrote about. It was called "Mutual Funds Are a Scam," because I really believe they are. Okay, all right. So there's certain ETFs, like there's the Qs. Okay, so let's see if it's here. Q. Okay, hold on one second. It's an ETF there. Okay, yeah. And so this here is the ETF for all the exchange traded funds, for all the tech stocks that are on the NASDAQ. Okay. And what you can do is you can actually go and look at the holdings as well to find out what's in there. Okay. And you'll see it's mainly tech stocks here. Okay. And so Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Facebook, that sort of thing. Okay. And let's see the fee here. The fee on this ETF is pretty low. Let me see here. Profile. Here it is here. It's called the annual expense ratio, and it's only 0.2% per year, which is amazingly cheap. Okay, it's very, very cheap. And Invesco is a company that provides that ETF. There's ETFs for basically everything. So if I want to invest only in Brazil, I would type up EWZ. That's how we say Z in Canada. Hit enter. And this is an ETF for Brazil, which means I can buy this stock. It looks like a stock, although it's not, but it trades like a stock. EWZ is the ticker. And what I can do is I can get exposure to Brazil. And let's see what's in there. Okay, let's go to holdings. And here's the sector holdings. Okay, so financial services, basic materials. This makes sense, basic materials, because Brazil is a very natural resource-based economy with companies like Petrobras, which is petroleum Brazil, and then they have a lot of other commodity companies too. All right, so let's go down here and see what is in them. Okay, so the first one is a bank. You got CVRD, that's a copper company, and then you've got Petrobras. Okay, so two different types of shares. We won't go into what these mean, unless you want me to talk about preferred versus common stock. I can do. So you can find them all out here. Okay, so that's Brazil, and let's see what the fee is there. Okay, so the expense ratio is 0.59. It's a little bit above 0.5, but still not too bad. It's a great way to get access to Brazil, and this is great because that way you don't have to go and buy every single stock in Brazil to create this index, or you don't have to buy a Brazil mutual fund, which will probably underperform this anyway because there's high fees. And this is made by iShares. And iShares is another great company when it comes to ETFs. Pardon me. All right, and we can do the same thing for any country, like EWC is Canada, that sort of thing. Or just type in ETF, and sometimes you can see a drop down, of a lot of different types of ETF. The first ones that come up. Here's a biotech ETF. Careful with biotechs. Here's a gold ETF. And if we just want to buy pure gold, instead of going and buying gold, it's the same thing. Just buy it here. GLD. EA Sports in the game. GLD. Sorry. All right. And this is gold shares. And when I buy gold or bet against it, I don't buy physical gold. I buy this. Okay. It's great. And it's got an expense ratio of 0.4%. I don't mind that. I mean, if I wanted to, I can go buy physical gold, but it's too much of a hassle. And then how do I know if it's real? And you get the idea. Let's just make sure that, okay, good. All right, so anyway, and if you want, you can actually go to, I recommend this website called Vanguard. Okay, so Vanguard is a great ETF company, probably the best. And there are other companies that make ETFs, like there's Schwab, there's Charles Schwab. There's the iShares brand as well. But if you go here to Vanguard, and I actually, I have a course called the Complete Personal Finance course where I teach you everything about investing. Okay, and it can be, I talk about bonds, commodities, stocks, and all this stuff too. And I help you create a diversified portfolio from scratch. I'll never tell you what to buy, but I'll always help you decide how to analyze something. Again, my goal as a teacher is to help you learn how to fish and not just give you a fish. Okay. All right. So if you go here, you can do a search on different retirement plans or ETFs as well. Let's see, investing, Vanguard ETFs. Here it is here, okay? And all this stuff you can get from Yahoo Finance as well to find out what the holdings are. Okay, and this is really, it'll explain what all these things are, and it's why you should invest in them. It's less risk, it's diversified, less work obviously, and lower cost. Okay, the fee structure is a lot lower, as we know, than mutual funds, which are an absolute ripoff. It's a ripoff. It's just, mutual funds spend a fortune every year on advertising, right? And they have a very strong union as well with politicians. Okay, they pad the wallets of some people. I'm not going to say who or why or when. Okay, and so here there are so many different types. This is a great website to start actually as you look in ETFs, and there's bond ETFs as well. Okay, it's not just about stocks, right? There's bonds as well. And so this one here, the ticker is Bond, James Bond, BND. And so we can click here if you want and learn more about it. You can get what's called a prospectus, which is a PDF, which will explain what you're getting yourself into. And you got to read all those things first. Look at the expense ratio on this. It's low, eh? And look at this. It's amazing. That expense ratio is 93% lower than the competition. It's incredible. And that's just a unique identifier for tech stuff. Anyway, you can go through that, and this is a great website. But BND is the ticker. So let's go to Yahoo Finance and learn more about BND. Okay. When is the next bond movie coming out? Anybody know? Okay, here we go. So if I type here BND, okay, go, and it will pull up the Vanguard Total Bond Market ETF, Exchange Traded Fund. And what we can do is we can learn more about it here, what the yield is, which means the coupon, the dividend, so to speak. Yeah. So anyway, it's all here. You can go to profile. It should say, it said 0.04, I think, on the other website. That's close enough. 5%. It'll tell you what's in it as well. Okay, so holdings. And the way it works with bonds is, so AAA rated bonds are the most secure ones, the ones where you probably, most likely will never lose money, most likely. And then it goes AA, A, and then below A is stuff I don't want you to buy. It goes triple B, double BB, etc. And below A is called high yield, which means higher return, but it's higher for a reason. And higher yield bonds used to be called junk bonds. Michael Milken was the guy that pioneered that. So anyway, great Wharton grad. So what are the holdings here in this bond fund? So it looks like it's all U.S. Treasury notes. Okay, wow, it's ridiculously diversified. And what I personally like to do is sometimes I'll own a bunch of this thing. It's called TIPS, and TIPS stands for Treasury Inflation Protected Securities. Okay, and basically it's all AAA rated bonds, and this fund TIPS. Tips are not for waiters. What happens is it goes up with interest rates, but it's also interest rate protected, okay, meaning inflation protected. So if inflation goes up like crazy, this thing will go up more. Okay, so it's low risk, low return. But anyway, it's something I've owned a lot of in the past. All right, so hopefully that answers the question there. Let me go back to Big-headed Chris again, and hold on. Mix it up there a bit. Okay, that looks like the background from the movie Twilight. I'm going to change that tool for Twilight. Hold on. There we go. That's my favorite one ever. I love that background. All right, puts me in a good mood. I'm in a peak mental state right now because of that one. All right, so next up we have got from Alex. For being a venture capitalist, would I say an investment banking analyst or big three consultancy is more relevant? Okay, I got you. So it's really interesting because there's kind of a healthy mix of both. But I would say, see, on the one hand, IBD will teach you I'd say investment banking. I'll tell you why. Because investment banking, you learn how to originate a product, okay, meaning take a company public. And when you originate a product, you're talking to private companies and helping them become public. Whereas with consulting firms like McKinsey, which is the gold standard, it's tough to get into, or Bain, those companies, you're advising huge clients. Like McKinsey advised Enron, that's right, that sort of thing. And because you're advising big companies, you don't understand small companies as much or private companies. So I would recommend doing investment banking if you want, but make sure that you do it for the right reasons. Like you have to enjoy the work. Otherwise, I don't recommend doing it at all. All right, next up is from Akil. Hey, Akil, how are you? Why do people go broke to buy Apple products? Why do people go broke to buy Apple products? You know, why is a guy who bought an iPhone for tens? Okay. All right, so the question is, why do people go broke buying Apple products? Meaning, why do people pay a premium? A couple of reasons. Number one, a company is only as good as its customer service, and Apple has the best customer service in the history of the retail sector. You walk into any Apple, you can go to the Genius Bar and get help with this stuff. It's reliable. And a lot of big companies and entrepreneurs as well, they don't mind paying a bit of a premium if they're going to get good customer support anyway. And what you don't see behind the scenes when people buy products, especially tech products, is they pay annual services for maintenance. Okay, so the way it works in the software sector, for example, with great software companies like Oracle, you buy the product, so pretend this is the Oracle product, and then you pay a 20% fee every year on that product for maintenance. Okay, and the same thing with this, except you're kind of getting that maintenance for free if you just call Apple or just go in to talk to anybody in the Genius Bar. That's one of the reasons that explains why there's that premium. It's also because they have fantastic marketing. It's a relatively trustworthy brand. And it reminds me of Sony, actually, back in the 80s. I'm dating myself here. With a Sony Walkman and PS4 in the 90s and all this, or PS1, 2 in the 90s. All these other great products Sony made. And people would always talk about the Sony Premium. You know, Sony, they make good products. And even if you buy a Sony television today, although it might be similar to other TVs that are lower priced, people will buy it because it's the Sony trust that they developed or bonded with Sony over the years. It's just a great brand that works. So it's all about marketing. That's what it is. And it's so interesting. And Akil, you'll probably agree with me on this, that the best technology companies often don't have the best products. They don't have the best technology. They have the best marketing. And Steve Jobs certainly pioneered marketing as well. He gets it. And less is more. It's simplicity. The brilliance of this, it's simplicity. You just swipe up or hit the button if you have that version. And then a lot of people, like my kids, don't know what the F1 key is for, F2, 3, all these things like that. What is that stuff? And actually, it's because when we were younger, we would have to press F1 for help. Okay, and I know a lot of people already know that in this call, but it's actually interesting. Steve Jobs once guest lectured, and after the guest lecture was done, a student came up to him after Apple had fired him. He came up to him and said, "This is my Apple keyboard. Can you sign it?" And Steve Jobs said, "No, unless you rip off every one of the F keys." And that's what the student did, and then Steve Jobs signed the back of it. It's a pretty interesting story. So people will always pay a premium for great products with great customer service. Always, always, always. Think about it. Any product you buy, like, I don't know if you've ever gone online. Oh, here, you'll love this one. Okay. And by the way, you can never have enough of these. You know what I'm talking about, right? But we've all been burned. We've all gone to Amazon or online, whatever, and bought a cheap version of this because it was cheap in price, and it just doesn't work after a month or whatever. But if you pay a little bit more for Apple, there's an Apple guarantee that it will work longer. It will work longer. And so you always get what you pay for. Okay, you always get what you pay for. And that also explains why companies like Apple and Sony, for example, usually price their products higher. It's better quality and better customer service. Okay. All right. So what are the types of dope strategies that Apple uses? So Apple doesn't sell drugs. I'm just kidding. It's fun. I just kind of thought I walked by one of those drug shops, and I don't do that stuff because it makes me lazy. But I walked by one of those drug stores in San Francisco, and you walk in, and they watch you closely, right? They don't allow that many people in the stores, but dude, even outside the store, you can smell it. And I disagree with all that stuff. It's not right, but whatever. All right. So somebody is vacuuming upstairs. Can you guys just let me know if you can hear that or not? I'm not going to tell them to stop, but I'm just curious because I installed these things. Oh, dude, check out the green screen. That's dope. That's the dope Apple strategy I'm talking about. I installed these things on the door, the ones in the ceiling. I haven't finished that yet, so you probably heard that one. So anyway, why can't a company make a quieter vacuum? All right, so the strategies that Apple uses, well, let's look at this together, okay? And we're going to look at Apple commercials over the past couple of decades. But you're going to love the simplicity of less is more, or standing out like only the crazy ones. All right, so let me first of all put you on green screen, and I will get a lot faster this soon, I promise you. All right, there's small Chris. All right. All right, so let's just do a search on. Well, first of all, let's go to Apple advertising over the years. I always forget, is advertising with a Z or an S? I got corrected. There you go. All right, so how it's changed. This might be interesting. I'm just going to look at images here. I don't want to be biased by anybody. All right, so this will be fun. All right, so it's simplicity, even here. And so for this advertising campaign, which was, I think, mid-90s or so, maybe a little bit later than that, 97, 98, what Apple did was they licensed the song from the Rolling Stones, Like a Rainbow, and they embraced simplicity and fun. Okay, so with Apple, it's simplicity and fun. Okay, and right here it says chic, not geek. That's simplicity and that's fun as well. Simplicity and fun. Although I think the branding went a bit downhill after Steve Jobs got fired by the company. And then he came back eventually. Right. So simplicity here. Let's see what else we have. This is an awful Apple ad. That can't be Apple, is it? No, it's AT&T. You see closely, you see the AT&T logo in the corner. All right. And even Steve Jobs, and the brilliance of Steve Jobs, and I talked about him in my entire MBA course and in my complete presentation course. The brilliance of Jobs is he keeps it simplistic. Like when he presents, and you can see one here. Okay. He has 3 bullet points usually per slide. He has a lot of images as well. And people definitely understand images better. Like right here, music streaming, that's not Jobs, it's somebody else. Show the product. Let me see what else we have here. Just simplicity. Even over here, this was the new iMac. So before some of you were born, I'm dating myself here. This is what the iMac looked like years ago. It was simplicity. It was brilliant. And this was controversial because Apple took the risk of not including a disk drive. And everyone thought, oh my God, that's ridiculous. How could you not include disk drive? How would I install my software? No, Apple kept it simple, and they made it even more simple. To the extent that now, of course, you buy a laptop, and of course it doesn't have a CD reader or a DVD reader. Of course it doesn't have a disk drive. But they were the pioneers in keeping things simplistic. Less is more. Even the original, the original logo here is just simple. And he made it even simpler. Here, we got rid of the colors. Yeah, and let me see what else I can tell you. And I know that for those Android people out there, you're getting pissed off because you're like, well, dude, Android made that like way before Apple did, and there's lawsuits. I get it. I hear you. And I've tried Android as well. Android's good, but sometimes I find you have to be a little bit more techie. It's like in the old days, you had to understand DOS prompts or Unix scripts, whatever. You can certainly customize Android a lot more, but the more you can customize something, the more problems you have. It's like using Windows. Like, I know that you understand what I'm talking about here. When you bought a Windows laptop and you find that the more software you install, the slower it gets. Somehow it just gets messed up. Well, Apple has more control in their operating system. What happens is you have to type in a password anytime any new executable code is being installed. On Windows, they'll try to block exe files. I'm nerding out there, but it doesn't work. All right, and here you got Think Different as well. So they're always innovators. So anyway, I think I've kind of gone into too much detail on that. Sorry for that. Hopefully that explains Apple's strategy in a little bit more detail. Just less is more. And I always feel that I feel that companies tend to do extraordinarily well if they have a combination of Apple's simplicity and Intel's paranoia. I'll say it again. Companies do well if they have a combination of Apple's simplicity, meaning marketing, and Intel's paranoia. And so the late, great Andy Grove, who's the CEO for years of Intel, he wrote this book called Only the Paranoid Survive. And Intel was a very paranoid company. And that's why they did extraordinarily well. So anyway, a little bit off topic there, but that's a killer combination. All right. So next up, I've got Rohit is saying, will the new MBA program be a one-time thing, or can we take it again and again like Udemy courses? Thanks for your response. I haven't thought of that, but I'll add it right now. MBA. All right. Let students take the MBA course over and over again. Thank you. All right. Now when I do a search, all right, thanks Wrigley for that comment. Vacuum's off now. No, you'll be able to take it again and again, again and again. And there's going to be lifelong membership thing, which is you don't pay extra for membership, but there's going to be a lot of things that I provide just my students, like one-on-one stuff, etc. But no, you can take it over and over again. I don't see why not. Yeah, it's a great question. I love these questions. Please keep them coming, or comments or advice. Thanks a lot for that, Rohit. Okay, so I've got a question saying, why do hedge funds exist if day trading is so random? Okay, so the most successful hedge funds don't day trade. Okay, the most successful hedge funds are long-term focused. And so what a hedge fund is basically if you look in your backyard, you have hedges around your backyard, kind of like these nice poppies I have in the background here, hedges. And what the hedges do is they protect your backyard. Okay, this is just an analogy. Okay, and so what hedge funds do is they protect your capital. That's what they're supposed to be. So if the market goes down a lot, what they can do is they can make money because they bet against companies. Okay, and so the best shorts and the best longs that I've ever had in my career are the ones where I'm long-term focused. Like Apple, which I owned forever. Apple, when I ran my hedge fund and worked for other people in the hedge fund industry, Apple is a secular growth business. Okay, and I'm betting on Apple longer term. That's what I was thinking back then when I held it. And by the same token, I bet against newspapers. I shorted them, right? And I wasn't trading. It was a long-term bet, because I knew longer term more people would read news on this thing rather than reading old school newspapers. Okay, so it's like that. So the best hedge funds are very long term focused. Now, if anybody wants to work for a hedge fund, I only recommend working for a tiger cub, and I'll explain what that means. So there's this brilliant man named Julian Robertson, and Julian Robertson started this incredible hedge fund called Tiger. And he ran it from the 80s until recently. I'm not sure if he's still running it. But now the most successful hedge funds are called Tiger Cubs. And that means people that worked at Tiger and then they left to start their own hedge fund. Okay, there's firms like Maverick. There's tons of them. Blue Ridge, so many. But these hedge funds are long-term focused. Like the way that Julian Robertson thinks about investing is a bit like Warren Buffett, but instead of being a value kind of a value investor like Buffett is, he's a bit more of a growth investor, but he still thinks longer term. right? Maybe not as long-term as Buffett. Buffett, whenever he buys a stock, he assumes the market's going to be closed for 10 years. Whereas the best hedge fund investors like Julian Robertson or the Tiger Cubs, they think 3 years out, usually. And they're not traders. They're not traders as much. So anyway, hopefully that explains that. If that doesn't explain it to you, then please let me know. Thank you. All right, so Kartik is saying, how do I network and increase my confidence if I'm shy and introverted? Can introverts be successful in a competitive business environment? So absolutely, and I used to be that way. Okay, I still am sometimes. I'm so shy. No. So the question is, if you're introverted, can you be successful? And the answer is, of course. And the way to break out of that shell is as follows. Run to your fears. So if you're scared of or shy when it comes to conversations with big groups of people, I want to push you in the deep end of the pool. I want you to run to your fears. And I want you to do it so often that it becomes comfortable and second nature. And when I used to be a programmer, and some of you that are coders out there might understand what I'm saying, most won't, but when I was a programmer, I remember staring at the screen coding, and 10, 12 hours would go by like that. I wouldn't even notice. And I would drink Jolt Cola. I'm dating myself. That's old man's Red Bull. I drink a lot of cola to stay awake. And then because I was in that zone, that coding zone, which was fun. It was like playing Angry Birds or Red Dead Revolver 2 or whatever it is. Because I was in that zone, I wasn't getting as much social interactions. And I would then go to a party or something and I'd feel a little bit uncomfortable because I was, kind of being an introvert. And once I forced myself to go to a lot more parties or interact a lot more, then I learned to just be more comfortable in my skin. Okay, so you got to force yourself to run to your fear. If you're scared of public speaking, you got to do it. Actually, you know what, dude? Kartik, I want you to get involved with public speaking. Okay, and you can do it for free by just going to meetup.com. And you can do a search for public speaking or what they call Toastmasters in some parts of the world. So do a search on public speaking and then your city name. And there are these free events. And I want you to go to these events. Okay, so let's go there together. Okay, and I want to show you because this will actually help other people on the call as well. Okay. All right, good. So the question was, so the question was, how do I feel more comfortable with social interactions because I'm shy? And the best answer I can give you is to just go to meetup.com. Meetup.com is amazing. Okay, and this just isn't just for you to learn how to not be shy or to present. It can be for anybody at all. But what you do is this: you could type in your city name, and then you type in the skill that you want to learn more about. Okay, so sign up first, and then what you can do is do a search, and you can do a search for. Let's see here. I don't want to sign in. It's not that I don't trust you. Here we go. So, here, good. All right, now we can do a search. All right, so here within Meetups, and this is just doing a lookup on where I live within 25 miles. So I don't want to do where I live though. Let's pretend that I'm in Toronto. Okay, and I want to do public speaking. I can hit enter. All right, it's saying near you yet. Okay, whatever. Enter in where you are. Okay, so I'll say public speaking here. Thinks I'm here. So if I enter in public speaking, all right, so look at this here. So South Bay Public Speaking Skills Group, okay, or Berkeley Toastmasters Club, or District 4 Toastmasters, whatever it is. Silicon Valley Public Speaking Skills for Quiet People. Let's go here. Let's see what this is. All right. That's a lot of microphones. And then what you can do is you can read here about how to join this. I think they're all free to join. So all these people are members here. This guy's name is Pete, and you can call that phone number there if you have any questions, that sort of thing. And if you don't want to be part of this meetup here, you can do other ones as well. This one's in Mountain View, which is not that far away from where I live. But you can do this for any region in the world. And so for those of you on the webcast, it doesn't matter where you are. It should recognize where you are. Right now, it's saying that I'm in this region here. But you can type up anything. Let's say, and if you run to your fears and you're a shy person and you force yourself to give speeches, then I promise you, you'll conquer that fear and you'll be much better at it. And you can do a search as well. I don't know, accounting. Kind of scared what's going to come up on this one. Accounting, search here. The future of accounting meetup. Okay. Say I'm interested in the future of accounting. God, I'm falling asleep already. What you could do is you could go to these events as well, and they're free. 600 people are part of that event. And sometimes they're online events, sometimes they're in person. A lot of times they're in person. And again, almost all of them are free, right? So you can learn more. Let's say that, I don't know, I'm interested in Bitcoin. So I'm interested in Bitcoin, but I want to learn more about Bitcoin. And I want to talk to people that know about Bitcoin. And I don't have any money. So what you can do is you can just enter them in here. Oh, look at this. San Francisco Bitcoin Meetup. I can click on this and I can go to these meetings, right? And again, almost all of them are free. You got to be 21 for this one. I guess that means there's alcohol involved, whatever. So I got to bring my fake McLovin ID, right? Okay. But you can get a meetup for just about anything where you live, okay? And for those of you trying to get customers as well, you can go to meetups that have people that might be customers, or if you're looking for business partners or somebody to start a company with, or say you understand marketing really well, but you don't understand tech. You know, just kind of like Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was a marketing dude, and Steve Wozniak was the tech dude. Okay, it was Steve. It was a great partnership. You could go to an event like this to meet your Wozniak. And it's interesting that I say that because Apple wouldn't exist today if Steve Jobs didn't go to events like this with Woz or Wozniak. They went to what was called the Homebrew Computing Club before the internet days. Okay, so the Homebrew Computing Club. And the Homebrew Computing Club, it was similar to Meetup. So anyway, that's where he was able to go and get a lot of PR for Apple. So I think Meetup is fantastic. Again, it's free, and I recommend checking it out if you want to conquer any perceived weakness that you have, so you can turn your perceived weakness into your biggest strength. Okay, let me go back now and go back into big mode Chris. All right, hold on. There we go. I like this one. All right. So next question I've got is productivity tips from Akil. Okay. So the best advice I can give you when it comes to productivity is to do a daily schedule. Okay. And what you can do, and I'll go there with you again. So let me go back and and do another share screen. And this is worth waiting for because this will help you become more productive. Do you ever find that when you go on vacation or you have time off between jobs that you're just not productive? You don't go to the gym as much. It's because if you want something to get done, give it to a busy person. So how do you stay busy and schedule everything so you can accomplish all of your daily goals? Well, the best thing to do is to schedule everything the night before. So I'm going to show you. So if we go to HarounVentures.com, just go to HarounVentures.com/schedule. HarounVentures.com/schedule. I know I typed it a little bit different here. They all work. Okay. And so you click here to download my daily scheduling thing. Okay. Let's make sure that. Okay. All right. And then we go to downloads. Okay. And this is actually in PowerPoint, and I'm sure if you have Keynote or other third-party software that doesn't support, you don't have PowerPoint, it'll work as well. And here's what you do. And I'm going to open this up with you as well. Leave me alone, Microsoft, without warning. All right, good. Here we are. All right, let me just maximize this, and I'll make it a bit bigger. Actually, start here first. So basically, you and I wrote this note here. You can just get rid of it, but I basically said, create your own version. Don't be biased by my setup here. But you can drag and drop things. And so what I do is this. So every night before I go to bed, I have an alarm actually goes off every night at 9 p.m. And I'm getting Andrew, my oldest son, to do this with me too. I think it's helping a lot. But every night at 9 p.m. my alarm goes off. And I fill in this template. And what I do actually is I write in the day number. And the reason I do that, like day number 1 is the first day you start it. I try to challenge myself to do as many days in a row. I think my record's 30. And don't do it on the weekends either. Give yourself that mental break. And you write in the date here. And you can, and I suggest printing it out and doing it by hand. Okay, just otherwise you'll get lazy, or I'll get lazy and just assume every day is the same, print out the same one. Okay. So create your own template, okay? And so this was an older one for me. You could see at that point, my Q4 course goals were to do a complete finance course, complete cryptocurrency, and I do an annual free course now to teach online. And then solve for X. I don't know what I was going to do in Q4 in this example, okay? And then for me, I get 2 promotional emails per month to send out to customers. And then I get 4 educational emails a month to send out to customers, which is where I give you the weekly update email. And then this one here, at this point in my life, I was wanting to write 1 LinkedIn article per day and 1 YouTube post per day, which is what I do. I post every day. And then you write the date here. And these are just for me specific. And I know this is a touchy one, but that comes first in my life. Okay, you might be different. It's just who I am. Goes God, family, diet, weights, sleep. Did I get 8 hours of sleep? And then here, did I wash my face twice a day? Sometimes I get lazy and then disaster. And then this is my body weight. And did I get 20,000 steps in, which means 10,000? You know what I'm talking about. And James Cameron said that if you set your goal so high and you fail, then you fail above everyone else's expectations. Okay. And here I have customers. Did I put the customer first on this side here? Okay. And did I not surf the internet as much as I usually do? Did I not, check too many emails? Like, I don't know why I check a gazillion times a day. Okay. So I just got distracted. There we go. All right. And then did I eat the proper foods? And the reason you see these boxes is because at the end of the day, and I'll go through the rest in a second. At the end of the day, when I'm preparing tomorrow's schedule at 9 p.m., what I do is I score myself down here. Okay, today's accomplishment score out of 100 is, and for everything I do wrong or miss, I take off 5%. And it depends. Like if I didn't pray, I'll take off, a lot more than 5%. If I didn't spend time with family, obviously take it off, that sort of thing. And then here, maybe a couple percent, whatever. And everyone's different. And I'll score myself out of 100%. And it's almost impossible to get perfect. It's kind of like with, I got to show you one thing. Stay there. All right, I'm gonna keep it real. It's you'll never get perfect. It's kind of like this. You won't be able to see this on bigger mode, so I'll hold up here. So this here is Wolverine #1 I had when I was a kid. It's a 9.0 rating. It's impossible to get a 10 out of 10. The highest it can go is 9.8. You'll never get perfect. And I want you to be hard on yourself, okay? And, set high standards for yourself and don't let other people tell you what should be part of your day every day. Like, don't listen to me. Like, you're different from me. You can get rid of these or have do different things, okay? So I score myself at the end of the day. It's kind of fun. And then here I write down different to-dos, like what I'm going to focus on that day. If I'm not sure what time to put them in, what slot. Like say one of them is, I'm supposed to call my brother James. He left me a voicemail for Christmas. I got to call him back. So I would put that there. I don't have to schedule a time, whatever. And then for me, I do today's accomplishments will be the following. 6:30, you get up. I actually got up at 7 a.m. today. And then you'll write down what you have to do. And then here I put a walk in. Remember, you come up with your best ideas when you go for walks. And then here I have Jim, meaning the elliptical trainer. And if you want, you can. I made a vlog, which people were critical of. I don't know why, on exercising, and you can check it out if you want. But I schedule exercising, and I have a little life cycle bike below the desk, not here in my other office, upstairs. And I also schedule time to exercise at home or at the gym. And what I do is every day at 4:30, a lot of the messages that I'll write to you, and Wrigley obviously is the best ever helping with this. I drown without him. But I'll write a lot of those messages at 4:30, while I'm on the elliptical trainer. And I love the elliptical trainer because what happens is your brain, this will help a lot of you out, humbly, I think, when it comes to productivity. Your brain is like a muscle. And when you're exercising, you're actually putting a lot of oxygen and other things into your muscles, and that's why they grow. And your brain is like that too. If your brain takes in a lot of oxygen, that's why people meditate or do yoga, or exercise. And so when you take a lot of oxygen in your brain, you can think much more clearly. And I am the most sharp I am first thing in the morning when I get up. Right? And I know I look tired sometimes in these calls. I just got up. In the afternoon, I'm not as productive. But a way to kind of biohack or body hack or fool myself into thinking that I'm still fresh is to exercise. Because when I'm on the elliptical trainer, doing all of my emails on my laptop or on my iPad, my big iPad, I'm incredibly productive because I'm taking in oxygen, my brain, and the happy stuff too. Serotonin is being created. And you're working every muscle group on an elliptical trainer. And I bought a used one. And again, you can go check it out in my vlog on exercising, which I did last week or the week before, I can't remember. But I bought this used elliptical trainer. Don't buy a new one. I have a used one. And I want you to all pay a lot of money for gym memberships because it'll force you to go. Okay, even if it's, well, not a lot, but you know what I mean. Like if you don't have one, you won't go. That sort of thing. And if your company has a gym, you might be able to use it then. But I usually like to get away from my company when I work for other people. I don't want to be around them when I was exercising. And so like Jeff Bezos, what he does, Jeff Bezos, Amazon founder, of course, he only has meetings himself at 10 a.m. Okay, and what he does is he has breakfast with his wife. He makes a breakfast for his wife and kids between 7 and 8. And then he's in a peak mental state at 10 a.m. And so all Jeff Bezos meetings for himself at Amazon occur around 10. He doesn't do anything else after that. There are no more meetings after that because he's not as fresh. Okay, he's not as fresh. But he should probably learn from me with my elliptical training idea. All right, so I'll enter all that stuff in here. This check flags means, whenever I see an email, I respond to it immediately. Okay, there's this old saying, there's this old saying in business, which is touch hand once. Touch hand once. And that was for inter-office memos, like before email and stuff, or Lotus Notes, I'm dating myself. People will receive a little message envelope and they'd open it up. And the rule is there, only let that piece of paper with that memo touch your hand once. And I do that in all aspects of my life. So even little things like this morning when I was getting my bulletproof coffee ready, I put a tablespoon of grass-fed organic butter in here. That helps me be very productive too, actually. And people have been doing that for hundreds of years, right, with butter. It makes them alert. What I did was, and I do this every morning, is when I get the spoon to put the butter in, that spoon is only allowed to touch my hand once. And the same thing with the butter, right? Otherwise, what happens is I'll put the butter on the counter, and then I'll pour the coffee, and then I'll go and get the spoon, put the spoon in. Everything can only touch your hand once, okay? And when you're taking out your groceries at home, when you come back from the grocery store, if you touch every item once, like the second you touch it, out of sight, out of mind, you got to put it away right away, okay? If you put it on the counter first and then you put it away, that's 2 touches. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but I promise you, if you develop that sort of mentality, you'll be much more productive in so many aspects of your life. Touch hand once. And so for me, there are some emails, and I know most of you are thinking this right now, there's some emails you just can't respond to right away. And so what I do is I flag them. I flag them in here. And then at the end of the day, what I'll do is when I'm on the elliptical trainer, sorry, it's kind of hot in here. When I'm on the elliptical trainer, I'll actually look at the flags with an email. I'm going to open the door. Hold on, it's kind of. Hopefully the green screen doesn't get messed up. Hold on a second. I think that might be okay. Let me go back and check. Hold on a second. It's fine. All right, let me go back here. Sorry. Yeah, so I'll go through all those flags there and just see what I missed. And then I schedule weights as well. I'm not doing as much as I should. But if you really want to release serotonin, get in your happy state, do weights. And if you're having confidence problems too, and you're younger, I recommend I recommend doing weights. Okay, and I don't know, maybe you'll get a little bit bigger. Like I used to have 20 pounds more muscle on me when I was younger. It's kind of crazy. I ate a lot too, whatever, just trying to beef up. I think it's because I was insecure, but I think it helped me confidence-wise as well, right? You don't really see that many athletes or people with big muscles that are not confident, but I think it's all up here, but whatever it takes. But when you do weights, it's the best way to kick in serotonin because it does much more than the elliptical trainer, right? So, there's a saying the other day I thought of, which is after I finish working out, I say to myself, God, I wish I didn't work out. Said nobody ever. After workout, you feel like $1 million. You know what I'm talking about. So schedule that as well. And the best gift you can give yourself, in addition to education, is a healthy body, I guess. All right. And if you don't exercise, you're hurting your family because you won't be around long enough. All right. And I find that when one teaches, two learn. So, all right. And then bedtime, whatever, I schedule 10 there. And even if it's not perfect, it'll get you closer to perfect. So that's how it works. If anybody has any follow-up questions on this, please let me know. Let me just shut it down so I can save some memory here. And by the way, I'm going to tell you guys one more thing. For those of you who use Macs, I'm going to tell you something you're going to love this, okay? I stopped using, this is controversial, I stopped using Chrome, okay? And here's why. What I want you to do is, so in a Mac, you can go force quit. We all know about that. But force quit doesn't really allow you to quit things that are tiny like this. So right now I'm looking here at my Mac, and it's called the Activity Monitor. And so if you don't know where it is, how to find it, all you do is you go out here and you just type in Activity Monitor, and it'll show up, okay? All right, and then I always add it down here, okay? The reason I don't use Chrome anymore, and for those of you that have been on the previous 18 webcasts, a couple of them, you remember when things kind of slowed down a lot on my computer, it's because of Chrome. Chrome, and this is very controversial, not many people are talking about it, I don't know why, but Chrome has got a lot of little applications that run, and sometimes it takes up 80% of your computing processing time. And you'll see it here, they'll be, and this is probably the case on Windows as well, right? So instead of Control-Alt-Delete, you can actually look at your version of the Activity Monitor. But you'll see there are things within Chrome when you have it open and running called Google Chrome Helper. And there's many of them. And it slows down your computer a lot. So if you are going to use Chrome, make sure that you blow away those things. And like this, I hate this thing. Like Logitech, it reminds me update my software all the time. You know, I can torch you completely, right? And that will take it out. And that'll only, free up a tiny little amount of CPU. Sorry, CPU's here. Okay. All right. So, yeah, like look at this. I don't have very much left here. That's why I wanted to close that. Yeah, if I was running Chrome right now, we wouldn't be talking. This wouldn't work. All right, cool. All right, let me go back to big screen Chris again. And then I'll take the next questions. And let me just mix it up a bit as well. How relaxing is that? All right. So, Keel, those are all productivity tips. I hope it helps you out tremendously from a technology perspective as well, so you can be much more productive when it comes to not having too many programs open at once. All right. It looks like that the green screen's okay, right? It's not being impacted. I'll only do this once. Hold on. I got the door open. Sunlight's coming in. Like when I go here, obviously it's gonna. It's a big deal for me, man. I can now have the door open. It's fantastic. And I actually ordered some LCD lights or LED lights coming soon, which will decrease the amount of heat here. I just got a new camera as well. Kills me. I can't show you the right resolution. I got a 4K Canon EOS 300 Mark II. All right. So Robert says your website. It's harounventures.com. HAROUN ventures.com. And I'll show you so I'll do this really, really quick. So if you go to screen share again, because you can get that free book here as well. So you just go to harounventures.com. And then you scroll down and you'll get this free book. Or if you want, go here to our new MBA program. And if it doesn't appear, you can click in the top right corner. And Wrigley did a great job of this. And you could, I encourage you, and Rohit's definitely done this, to get on my email list if you want to learn more. And if you want a teaser trailer, you can look at this here. And I muted it. But this was actually, I went to Prague. And I recorded it. And Prague will be one of the cities in the background, okay, in the video coming up, or in the background coming up soon. You have to tell me which one. So what I did is I'm teaching you stuff I've learned from meeting with different business executives, and this is just a little teaser on what to expect. And right here, it's interesting. This is Prague here, and we have a drone, okay, and it kills me that the weather wasn't amazing that day. Kills me. I wanted a sunny day. I'm a perfectionist, whatever. And that was kind of a cool setting. And then here at the end, what we did was, this is in the main square in Prague, which is just beautiful. What a beautiful country. If you live in the Czech Republic, I'm jealous of you. All right, yeah. So anyway, let's go back, get rid of this, go back here. All right, I'm back now. All right. Okay, so no, Malaysia is the right answer. Rohit was right. Well, Rohit, there's two towers in Kuala Lumpur. In Toronto, we only have one, but it's much better than what you have in Kuala Lumpur. Okay, just kidding. If anybody from Kuala Lumpur is on the call, I'm just joking. It's cool though. Nice. Most people got it right. Excellent. Oh no, I got a question on Trump business strategy. All right, are you ready for this? The reason I love Donald Trump, don't hang up. Don't give me a negative vote, please. I'm just kidding. I don't love him, but I don't hate him either. And I'll never tell you who I voted for ever. Okay, I didn't vote for Trump this time though. Kind of violate what I was saying there, but let me tell you about. So I read Trump's books when I was younger, or his book called The Art of the Deal, and actually I learned something from him that. Hold on. And one thing I learned from Donald Trump, that's the worst way to start any question. It's like saying, I'm on the board of a charity called Doctors Without Diplomas. What I learned from Trump, and this is obnoxious, but he's right. If you don't remind people of your accomplishments, they'll never know, or they'll soon forget. And it's stupid, but it's just the way the world works. You know, when you're younger and you're in school, if you get good grades, you know, life works out great. Then you start working for somebody else and you don't get promoted. You don't get a raise because you have to ask. Well, when you ask, you have to remind those people that you work for, what you've accomplished and why you deserve the raise. So the business strategy of Trump is twofold. Number one, brag, but you can do it tastefully too. Okay, and if you don't do this, you won't ever get what you want in life. I know it's a controversial thing to say because the man we're talking about is very controversial. But that's one thing. Another thing he does really well is this. He can get a deal done. And he had that book called The Art of the Deal, where I learned deal making from Trump back in '87. I think I read it. Yeah, wow. God, that was years ago. And he can get a deal done. And a lot of what he does is this. You know, he'll do something very extreme, in order to get what he wants. And he says very extreme things too, and some of them are hurtful, obviously. But for example, with this trade thing with China, which is crazy, if you take a step back, what he's trying to do is to improve trade relations by doing something extreme. Asking for this, knowing very well if he gets this, he's happy. Then he can brag about it and win the next election, whatever. Another thing that kind of explains, I'm not going to go into detail on this one. You can read between the lines. If you're like, what the hell is he talking about? Why is he saying, what is he doing? Because he's trying to get reelected by the people that put him in office. I'm not going to go into more details than that one. Okay. Anyway, that's his business strategy is he can get a deal done. And if you have Netflix, there's a 4-part documentary series on him. And if you're interested in learning more about him, whatever, you can watch it. But it explains how his first big hotel that he opened in New York City, he didn't pay a penny for it. He got the city to pay for it. And his negotiating skills are off the charts. Off the charts. I mean, anybody that can take on the media like he has done and whatever, have every media agency except Fox News, not like him, and still get elected. Anyway, so I hate to say he does the right things, but selfishly for you, if you don't remind people of your accomplishments, then they'll never know. And also, he's very confident, a little bit too confident, but actually more than just a little. But anyway, that's his business strategy. But a lot of it comes down to getting deals done, right? He's very good at negotiating, very good. The Twitter president. All right, next up. How many hours will the new MBA program be? It's going to be very, very, very long, very long. And I'm going to have prerequisite courses to take on Udemy first because I don't want to teach anything you've already learned. It's all new content, But it's going to be very, very long. And so the way that business schools work is there's usually 4 semesters. Year 1 has 2 semesters. Year 2 has 2 semesters. And you can learn at your own pace. I'm going to set it up so I teach live sessions a couple times a day. So it works for you based on where you are. But I'm also going to have them recorded. And it's all going to be done in 4K, which is why I got this badass EOS C300 Mark II 4K camera. It is so awesome. And that's why I did the green screen as well. I don't have the right lens on today. And the broadcasting, I messed it up. It should be high resolution. It doesn't mean you have to have a 4K TV to watch it. But if you're going to watch it on a TV or a big monitor, I want to give you that flexibility. I want it to be the best. And so my mission is to take on Harvard Business School, Stanford, Columbia, plus CNBC, okay, plus BBC or Al Jazeera, wherever we are in the world, that sort of thing. I want to kind of make it edutaining, and that's why I have this virtual studio that I'm setting up. And I will get it to a point where you just don't realize it's not a virtual studio, right? And so I just got to move my feet. I'm kind of burning my feet in the sand here. All right. Anyway, so it'll be long. It'll be long, but you'll be ready for anything in life. And the problem with business schools, and there's a lot of great business schools, is that business schools don't teach you the most important things in life, like how to present, how to interview, how to get customers, how to manage your own money. Everybody that graduates from business school, whenever they buy their first house, they're always like, Mom, Dad, how does a mortgage work? Practical skills that should be taught, that sort of thing. So, but I'm going to teach it based on my experience working in consulting, working on Wall Street, working in investing, working at hedge fund, working in venture capital, being an advisor to tons of different companies, being on boards of lots of companies. Ethics is going to be part of the course as well. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. All right. Thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate that. Another question here. Sadiq has got, and Akil, and this goes for anybody, if you've got recommendations for the program, you're the customer. I'm very competitive. I want to make sure, like when you join me, like I want to, like you ever get into a taxi and you're late and that taxi driver is so aggressive to get you where you want to get to in life. that's how I'm going to be for you and your career. Okay. And there will be a return policy, and it will be ridiculously cheap compared to other part-time or full-time or online programs. Okay. I want to disrupt the heck out of it, and I want to empower you to achieve all of your goals in life. Okay. And you can take it as fast as you want or as slowly as you want. Okay. So you can take it part-time over years, or you can do it all in a much shorter amount of time. Okay. And I don't know what your mandate is. Some people are working full-time. Some people are not. So anyway, it's going to be great. But yeah, if you have advice, please let me know, because you are the customer, and the customer's always right. Okay, but it's going to be very disruptive as well, and I'm extraordinarily ambitious with this project. It's the biggest thing I've ever done in my life, and that's why I'm trying to get all this perfect. I love doing this too, but I want to get all this perfect here. All right, next question is from Sadiq. Hey, how are you? Hi, Chris. If I'm pursuing the financial analyst courses, then should I enroll in the entire MBA course of yours? If you want to learn about finance, take the financial analyst course. If you want to learn about business in general, take the MBA course. That's the best way to sum it up. Okay. Although the MBA course covers a little bit of finance as well. Not a little bit, a little more than a little bit in accounting. Okay. All right. Thanks, Alex. I'll get to the comments soon. All right, hold on. Alex is saying, can you clarify what a trader actually does in an investment bank now that the Volcker rule is in place when turning a client trade into a proposition? Yeah, so there's a Chinese wall. Okay, and so for anybody that wants to learn a lot more about the different roles, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the best source for this. So what you do is, I don't know how I got that. Did you see that? It recommended a Nicki Minaj thing. What does Nicki Minaj have to do with Haroun? All right, let me just hit escape to get out of that. Sorry about that. All right, so what we'll do is I want to show you a video to watch. Okay. I know I clicked the like button. I get it. I'm trying not to. I didn't do it last night because I think YouTube actually penalizes you. So if I go day trading, I did not click the like button. Okay. But I'm honest and I'm open. All right. So what I want you to do is there's a video that I want you to watch. It's this one here. Okay. Finance Jobs Explained. And this will explain. I will stop doing that. I promise. All right. That's unethical. All right. So, okay. Nobody look at the screen right now. Okay. Okay. Now you can look. Just kidding. All right. So this video here explains everything you need to know. Okay. About financial analysis and what the different roles are. And so the investment banker, who's Isabel in this case, her role is to make sure that the client gets their stock put on the stock market. Now, when it comes to the trader, there's two types of traders that work at investment banks. Okay, there is the sales trader, okay, which is Talia in this example, and then there is there's the sell side trader, okay, and then there's the sell side sales trader. So Sanjay in this case is the sales trader. Sales trading means that you just execute orders for the buy side. So if mutual fund calls in or hedge fund says, hey, I want to buy these shares, you execute the orders. That's what a sales trader does. Okay. And they're called a sales trader because they work closely with the sales force at that investment bank that advises those clients on the other side of the phone. The trader, who's Talia in this example, trades the bank's money. Okay, and they're called prop trader or proprietary traders. And what they do is they try to make money, and there's usually different traders for different sectors. So Talia, and my cousin actually, Julia, I think before she went to business school, she was a trader doing industrial sector at I think it was Morgan Stanley. I think so, yeah. Anyway, so Julia and Laura Numer, twins. They went to Berkeley, did MBAs, brilliant, smart. So that should explain it to you. And there's something called a Chinese wall, which means that the investment banker is never allowed to talk to most other employees because the investment banker knows secrets about companies that are doing mergers or acquisitions or IPOs that it's not fair that the prop trader knows. And so they're not allowed to talk at all. And they don't. In most cases, if they do, they can get arrested and get fired and go to jail. So anyway, hopefully that explains it for you. If it doesn't, if you have follow-up questions on that, please let me know. And I'm going to get to a point where I can do one-click quick access to get all of this stuff here done. And I've actually got a couple of cameras as well, which is a lot of fun. I have two E300 or C300 cameras, and I've got and I was going to have a couple of cameras set up this time so I can walk outside and teach. I'll do it another time as well, just to change the scenery literally in the background to make it more fun. All right, next question I've got is Alex is saying, thanks for the advice. If my intention is venture capital, to go to venture capital, identify business opportunities, use my skills capital, do you recommend doing this? No. I mean, and this is just my humble advice. I don't recommend doing venture capital until you've started companies. That's what I recommend. Okay. All right. And you'll see, because if you work hard and you network, I promise you'll get a job there using my methodologies. But the problem is, careful what you wish for, because you're going to be frustrated when you're there. You won't be able to progress. And I've seen it happen a lot. All right, good. All right. I want to change the background here a touch. All right, here we go. All right, Lamarck. Thanks, Chris. I'm satisfied with your answers. Awesome. Another question. Sorry, I have a lot. Don't be sorry. This is what I'm here for. How do I know or calculate the long-term growth rate in knowing the terminal value? Oh, wow. That's a great question. Okay. So the problem with, so let me first of all explain the nature of the question. So the question is basically asking, when I value companies, how should I value the future cash flow stream? So let me explain what this means. One way to value companies, and there's three ways I usually use. I use price to earnings, price to growth, or price to earnings, price to revenue, and DCF sometimes. DCF means discounted cash flow, and the value of a company is based on the sum of how much money they're going to make every year forever. Okay, and then you discount to today's terms. Makes sense, right? Yeah, that's how you value a company. How much money they're going to make in the future. Well, what happens is this. Most people, when they make financial models, they model between year 1 and year 10, and then they're like, wait a second, what about year 11 to year infinity? Well, what they do is this. They calculate year 11 to year infinity using what's called the terminal value calculation. And the terminal value is basically a big number, which it represents year 11 to year whatever, infinity. And then you divide it by the interest rate minus the growth rate. Okay, so, and people say, what if the growth rate's greater than the interest rates? It won't be in the long run. It won't be, because big companies and big places or big countries like the United States, in the long run, you can't grow more than 1%, 2%, or 3%. It's just the law of large numbers. It is what it is. So anyway, and then what you do is, once you have that value, okay, so it's the terminal value divided by, or the last cash flow growth into perpetuity between year 11 and year infinity, or year 6 and year infinity if you want, divided by K minus G, which is the interest rate minus the growth rate. Once you have that, that's discounted today. And the problem with DCF is that sometimes 95% of the value of a company using DCF is the terminal value, which is total BS. And I know a lot of people in business school, I don't know who they are, but some of us might have had an assignment and we had to calculate the value of a company that we like. And so we either made the WACC, weighted average cost of capital, higher, or the terminal value bigger. So it's hokey. But basically what I would do, Lamarck, is after year 10, if you're doing year 11 to infinity, for the growth rate, make it very, very conservative. And it's only be 1%, 2%, or 3%. Because again, companies, it's a law of large numbers. They just can't grow once they get really big. Okay. So hopefully that answers your question. Oh, Jeremy is saying, I'm here because I want to own a winery. The education is part of the building my brand. What do you recommend for building a brand in today's climate? Oh my God, Jeremy, I've got the best piece of advice for you, dude. And you probably already know this. So there's a guy, and I'm going to explain it to everybody because not everybody will know around the world. A guy named Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary V. And if you want to learn about social media, just learn from Gary, okay? Not from me. I'm going to publish with one of my students, actually, who I met on this call a couple weeks ago. We are going to publish a course together called the Complete YouTube Course. Once I understand how to use YouTube. But look at Gary Vaynerchuk, because Gary Vaynerchuk, who understands social media better than anybody on the planet, and sometimes people get pissed off because he's kind of aggressive or he reminds people what he's done. Then you start kind of liking him. You learn to like him, even though he's self-promoting. That's what social media is, right? Which is one of the problems I'm going to have with it because humble Canadian, whatever. So just learn everything from Gary Vaynerchuk. I want you to read all his books. And you know what, Jeremy, actually, instead of reading them, listen to them in the car, do the audio books, because Gary V's voice, and I've done them on audible.com, and I'm going to show you. Okay, and I recommend everybody do this. He's great to listen to because you can sense his enthusiasm in his voice when he's reading his books, and he understands it. And the kicker, Jeremy, is that Gary Vaynerchuk started off by running a winery. Okay, a winery. His dad's winery took from $3 million to $50 million in revenue, whatever it was. So let's just go to Gary V. Let's see if that works. Gary V. Here he is here. Okay. All right. So he's 43, lives in New York. He's a massive New York Jets fan. It's a football team, American football. So just go to his website, which is Gary Vaynerchuk. And if you don't know how to spell it, just go to Gary V. You'll find it in Google. Okay. And just do what he does. That's what I'm going to tell you. Okay. For social media, just follow what he does. If you don't remind people what you've done, no one will ever know. Like I mentioned before, Trump. And I hate to mention Trump and Gary Vee in the same sentence, but both are great at promotions. I like Gary Vee's methodology better, though. Okay. And so basically, these are the platforms that he's active on. And so don't learn from me. Learn from him how to do it. Okay. I do have my own Instagram accounts. And it's so interesting because the order that he puts them in is, I think, the order where he favors them. So Instagram is very big. Even though he has this Facebook third, this is what's next. Okay. So, and I want you to listen to Gary Vaynerchuk's books. And the best way to listen to his books, and again, he had a winery, so he's great for you, Jeremy. The best way to listen to his books is to go to Audible. And what I do is I pay Audible. What I do is I pay $15 a month. Okay, and I haven't logged in here. I've logged on here, and I get access to books. Actually, what I'm going to do is let me sign in. All right, let's see if this will work. All right, hold on. All right, I will get this right. Hold on a second. You know what, dude? Oh my God, it was Christmas. That's why I changed it. When you have kids, like when I was a little kid, there we go. I got it right this time. Sorry. Fine, update password. I changed it because my kids, for Christmas. By the way, if you order something for your kids on Amazon, you can actually hide it. You hide the invoice online. But anyway, I used to search for presents when I was a kid. I used to feel the presents, and I could feel if it was a CD, which came in big cases. And I'd really carefully unwrap it. Anyway, Mom, if you're watching, I love you. I'm sorry. You too, Dad. Same thing. All right, so what you do is you go here, and I'll show you my books. Let's see what my library is. What? Again? Okay, whatever. All right, just ignore that stuff. All right, so what I do is I've got them here. So I've got, where is it again? Christine, listen to this, Parenting for Teens, Lean Startup, Wrigley recommended that. Here's Gary Vaynerchuk, Crushing It. So this is good. I'm not going to do audio here, but this is really helpful. He'll help you understand how to increase your influence. That's what social media is, it's influence. And YouTube is the second biggest search engine in the world. That's why I love it. And these are just other books I read for cryptocurrency for my course. Everybody asks me what books I'm reading, so now I'm going to show you how. But I don't recommend a lot of these books. It's just ones I've read. And what you do is you pay $15 a month with Audible, and you get access to 3 books or maybe 2 books every month, whatever it is. It's well worth it. And if you pay for it, you'll use it. Cryptocurrency, this is somebody interviewed me in this book. All right, let's see what else. Some of them are personal. I guess my wife's got them as well. This is one of our au pairs, actually. Carolina's her name. She's a big deal now from Brazil. She's a huge, huge author. And she met that dude he's a big author in Brazil. It's my wife's anti-aging. The bottom line here I learned is you can't reverse aging, but you can slow it down. I can tell you how if you care. Millionaire Next Door. Crush it. Okay, here's more Gary V's. Okay, good. All right, so these are other ones to read as well. Okay, the Thank You Economy, the Thumbs Up Economy, whatever. Ask Gary V. So yeah, I would do all 4 that I mentioned here, and you can always go back on the webcast and replay if you want to see whatever. That's what I'd recommend, and I think it's well worth your time, and not just you, but other people as well that want to learn about social media. Again, he comes across as being really outspoken. He grows I promise you. But it's people are usually polarized when it comes to him. It's a binary event. People like him or don't. I like him. All right, so let's go back to full screen. Chris. I don't like that background. There we go. All right, let's see what is next. Love the fishing analogy. I use it all the time. Awesome. Me too. Thank you. All right, so Akil is saying, why do consulting firms like McKinsey charge millions? They do because they give advice. And so what happens, and a lot of times companies can write it off, but let me explain what that means first. So big companies that want to think of a new corporate strategy, what they can do is they can hire companies like McKinsey, Bain, or Boston Consulting Group, and others. And these big consulting firms will come in and give you advice. And it's a fresh perspective from somebody that hasn't worked at the company. And you might not know this. They don't tell their clients this usually, but they're going to give you advice that they might have learned from working on other similar customers' engagements. And they have a wealth repository. Like when I worked in a consulting firm called Accenture, which everyone knows, we had what's called the Knowledge Exchange. And the Knowledge Exchange, which at the time was based on Lotus Notes, I'm dating myself, was basically a place where you dumped all of your knowledge after you finished helping a customer, an engagement. And then other consultants in the future would tap into that Knowledge Exchange, which it's now web-based, I'm sure, in a lot of companies. It's like an intranet. And the other consultants will search for how to do it. Like, for example, I worked, when I was at Accenture, it was great. One of the engagements I was on was for CIBC, big Canadian bank, which stands for Constantly in Bed with Consultants. I'm just kidding. CIBC is Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce. And what we did was we set up an offshore bank for CIBC. And it was called COBSCO, CIBC Offshore Banking Services Corporation. That's right, COBSCO. And we basically set up a trading floor there from scratch because there was tax loopholes for Canadian companies to trade treasuries and other securities through Barbados. You only paid a 1% withholding tax. Anyway. And CIBC paid a lot of money for us to get this up and running. And the reason they paid a lot of money is because they're going to make a lot of money. There's a tax loophole. When you repatriate or bring profits home from Barbados to Canada for banks at the time, I don't know if it's still valid, you only pay 1% tax instead of 30 or 40% tax in Canada. And so they didn't mind spending a lot of money. Right? $1 million is a drop in the bucket for big companies like CIBC, which is a great company. See the sunlight's coming in there? Oh, you know why it's coming in? It's because of my hack job of this. This fell off the door, one of the panels. All right, hold on. Ah! Oh my God, dude, they're all falling. All right, hold on. I got it. Sorry, I'm a perfectionist. Just give me 1 second. I'll be right there. All right. I'm so sorry. Just bear with me. If you want to grab a coffee, go do so. It's going to take just 5 seconds, okay? Just so you know how to soundproof a room, I'm going to show you how to do it. So this here, you get this foam, okay? And then you get these things here, and they're double-sided. Problem is, the green screen paint doesn't work so well when you paste it on. So what you do is you take these. I feel like this is show and tell. You put them in the middle. Long story why I'm putting in the middle. You don't need to know. 3. Sorry about this, folks. 4. But this is why I want to get all this perfect before the MBA thing starts. Then I take off the double-sided tape. And then I'm going to put it on there. That's sunlight coming from the door. I got to do one more really quickly, and then we're done. But it's a necessary evil. Sorry. All right, I'll be right with you, okay? Grab a coffee if you want. All right, stay with me. If you want to grab a coffee, go ahead. At least you can see behind the scenes how I set things up. What's up, Dylan? Hi, buddy. Come. Sorry, my son. Okay, my son Dylan is playing. He's playing hide and seek with a buddy he's got. And we have all these Arlo cameras all around the house in the forest, and then we have indoors as well. And so he's using. He never tells him this. He uses one of our iPhones or iPads to find his friends. He never tells them either. And one of them actually was crying recently. It's so bad. Like father, like son, maybe? All right. So what I'm doing is I'm setting this up here so I can hang a curtain across it. You get what you pay for when you buy adhesives too. Remember that. Hey, Wrigley, send a message out saying I'll be back in a minute, okay? These clamps are awesome. So these are the clamps that a lot of people use for movies and props. And you can extend it up high. So I'm going to extend it up high, and I'm going to put a blanket right by the door. High enough. Should be fine. All right, so you can't see this, but this is really high up now. And I'm going to put it over here. And then, you want to come in?
Sure.
All right, come on in. All right, go sit down. I'm fixing things. Okay, Dylan. This is Dylan. Dylan. Okay, talk to them. Keep them company. Oh, explain what this is. Show them this.
I got magnets for Christmas. You could do stuff. Yeah, do stuff.
What do you mean? Like they're individuals?
Yeah, you could break them apart. Like, they're different colors.
You guys getting that?
That is my desk now, okay?
All right. All right, so this is Dylan's old blanket, which I'm going to put up on the door.
And this is my desk, right here.
You guys getting that? All right. Never put these blankets close to lights, though. Make sure they're well behind them. All right, Dilly. I got to work, buddy. Love you.
Hey, love you too.
All right, you can stay if you want. You want to stay?
No, I'm gonna go look for my goggles.
Oh, for swimming? Okay, cool. Don't go to the pool.
Okay.
And you put sandbags on the side so it doesn't tip. All right, I think I'm ready. And you'll see a lot of people use these things. These are clips, cheap ones, but you need them. All right, we're almost there. So I've just got corner. trying to figure out. I'm so sorry about that. Left the door open. The wind blew the foam things down. I have to use better adhesive. I really am sorry. All right, so by hiring these consulting firms, what they can do is they can solve problems for you based on other client work that they've had in the past. And also, sometimes you want to hire part-time people, but you don't want to pay for benefits and all that stuff. And so consulting firms are there for only 6 to 12 months at times. Then they leave, so you don't have to pay benefits for forever. And it really helps you to change the direction of your corporate strategy. And it's a tax expense too, which means this. If they pay $1 million, that's $1 million in expenses. So they're going to pay less tax anyway. So, all right. All right. Kind of a long story, but many fire hazards, so sorry about that. Here's what I'm going to do. Let me just adjust the screen a bit. All right. Sorry about this, guys. Give me 1 second. All right. I apologize profusely. I just want this to be perfect. It's fine. Whatever. All right. So that explains consulting firms. All right. So, yeah, Rohit, you're right. It's New York City. All right. And then Alex is saying, would I say as a VC analyst, you get more exposure to different fund managers? If you want to go to start a company, you can use these. So you actually, you don't, the fund managers are only, it's a term usually used in mutual fund industry, not the venture capital industry. No, I mean it's yeah. You might get to know these venture capitalist firms a bit better, but I don't think it's going to matter in terms of how much money you can raise. Just take my complete business plan course, and that will help you out a bit when it comes to raising money. Sorry, this lighting is kind of distracting for me. All right. Merry Christmas from Geronimo. How are you, man? Geronimo's from Brazil. All right, so. All right, good. All right, Geronimo is saying Merry Christmas from the hot place of Brazil. I love Brazil. How are you doing? I'm great, buddy. Thought of you, man. Earlier on, we looked at the EWZ, which is the ETF for Brazil. What's my opinion on Basecamp and their approach of ongoing small and staying small? Are they exception or the future? So. I'm not sure exactly what you mean. There's one there's a place called Basecamp here in the city, which I advise on just for free every now and then. It's fun. They have me speaking there, and you can go to my website and click on the venture capital link. And you'll see a picture of Wrigley and I giving a speech there at Basecamp. But in general, I think that small groups of people can change the world. Certainly not big companies. So anyway, those are my humble thoughts. Okay, hold on a second. I am so sorry, guys, about today. I changed around that door, and then I started a potential fire hazard. I had to play around with it. There's other reasons too, but thanks for your patience. If anybody's still on. Okay, so. Okay. So Geronimo's saying, this is not a question, but just an honest thank you. Your lessons made me chase my dreams again, and I now have my goals in my wallet too. I hope to learn even more from you in 2019. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. But let me put it this way. You're not going to learn about filmography. Look at this, dude. I don't even have an arm. Like, I'm trying to go on a limb for you here. I can't even do that. Just kidding. But again, I thank you, and you all inspire me so much, and I appreciate how patient everyone was today. It was more complicated, just anyway. So hopefully you understand. All right, so what I'm going to do is, Wrigley, send me a text. Let me know how many people are on the call and just any update. Thanks. Sorry. Okay. All right. Rohit says, I like that thought. I don't care. So true. In Shawshank Redemption, Morgan Freeman was freed from prison only when he stopped wanting to get out of jail and just being himself. I totally agree with you about being you. I love that movie, Shawshank. Probably one of my favorite movies ever. I love it. I love it. And you know what, Rohit, you'll love this. Go to my YouTube vlog and do a search on it. You'll see I published something for you, Shawshank Redemption wise, that you'll love. It's very deep. It's very deep. And my favorite scene from that movie, which I vlogged about, was when Red, who's Morgan Freeman, when Tim Robbins was up in the office of the warden and he locked the door and he played beautiful classical music. And he blasted it into the room where everyone else was where all the prisoners were, and he knew he'd get himself into trouble, but he didn't care. All right, people today go on buying things which they don't need with the money they don't have. Got to be careful with money. Love your personal finance course. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. God bless you. Just live below your means, man. Always. All right, and that's what my dad used to tell me. You know, there's a book in Canada, Dante, if you're on the call, you'll love this, called The Wealthy Barber, about a barber who's a millionaire because he lived below his means. All right, hey Chris, can you please tell me about your GMAT score? If you don't mind me asking. Sure, I got 801. No, I'm just kidding. I did well. It's not rude at all. It's not rude. I did very well. But it's not an intelligence test. So the GMAT, Titan, is not an intelligence test at all. It's how well you write the test. And I published a vlog earlier this week on how to get into an Ivy League school or Stanford if you want to, as well as how to write tests better. And the reason I did well on the GMAT, and if you're going to take the GMAT, I want you to do this, please. I want you to take the Princeton Review course. Okay, and this answer is generic enough for everybody. So I can get a really good score on tests that are multiple choice without reading the questions. And the reason is, and you can do it too, because I'm no smart guy at all, but the reason is because what you have to do is think like a lawyer. This is the only time you're supposed to think like a lawyer. And contest the answers, find exceptions. So if the answer A, B, C, D has the word always or never, then they're wrong. Don't even look at those ones, because somebody can always find an exception. Okay, always or never. If you see the word sometimes or on some occasions, then those are always right, because there's always exceptions. Okay, there you go. All right. Nope, you're not going to need the GMAT for my MBA program, because I think the GMAT is. I think wow, that many people are still on. Thanks, Wrigley. Sorry, man. The GMAT is not an intelligence test. It's how well you write the test, and the GMAT does nothing. I think it's ridiculous. There are some people that do well in school, but they're just not great test takers. Does that mean they're going to suck in business? No fucking way. Sorry. Doesn't mean they're going to suck in business, right? Because the way you wrote a test? Really? Is that going to determine your future? No. Yeah, so GMAT is certainly not required for applying. Thank you, Dante. Merry Christmas to you too, brother. Appreciate it. All right, Alex is saying, what's my opinion on P2P lending platforms, meaning peer-to-peer? Do you think they will survive a recession where a lot of small businesses go out of business? I mean, I do longer term, right? So I think Lending Club was one of them we looked into. The CEO got pushed though for some reason. But no, I think that in 5 years from now, this is how I look at investments or trends. 5 years from now, will more people be using lending platforms or fewer? More, of course. It's like crowdsourcing. But I will say, don't do it. Don't get a loan from them and don't participate unless there is government regulation. Because one thing that governments do in most countries is they will insure your money in your bank account up to a certain dollar value. Okay, so just be careful. There's going to be a lot of scammers out there. Make sure that it is a regulated company before you look at potentially investing. But yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not fair that in Canada, for example, Dante, you'll love this. There's only 6 banks. So if 6 banks say no to lending me money, I can't get money. So anyway, right. Rohit saying, can I talk about Ben Bernanke's significance in managing the 2008 crisis? Yeah, absolutely. So there's a great movie I want you to see, and it's called Too Big to Fail. Ben Bernanke's amazing. And sorry about the little light in the corner there. Doesn't matter. But I want you all to watch this because Paul Giamatti, who's a dude in Brilliance, district attorney, he plays Ben Bernanke brilliantly. Okay, Too Big to Fail, and you can even, I think you could probably even rent this over YouTube, right? So here it is here, the movie Too Big to Fail. It's really, really good. And Ben Bernanke is played by Paul Giamatti. And Ben Bernanke actually, the brilliance of Bernanke is that he did his PhD at Princeton University in depressionary economics. And had Bernanke not done his PhD at Princeton in depressionary economics, I think we'd be in a Great Depression today, even that would have lasted maybe decades. And he understood what the Depression was all about, and the importance of cutting interest rates, and the importance of providing liquidity, meaning money, for the banks, as well as for other sectors in the economy, including the automotive industry, in a program called Cash for Clunkers. He understood it. He had a big bazooka, and he did whatever he could to fix the U.S. economy and the world too, in some respects, because the U.S. economy is about 1/3 of GDP in the world, maybe a little bit less now. He did great things, but I am a little bit upset with the whole process, not Bernanke, but just the fact that you had a whole generation of younger people, millennials, whatever, that they couldn't get a job in '08, and a lot of people didn't retire because they lost their 401k or retirement savings. And that means that younger people couldn't get jobs, and they had to live at home longer than they wanted to. And I know that a bunch of you on the call are this way, and it's just not fair. It's not fair because the bankers got bailed out for their mistakes, and then they got record bonuses 2 years later. And I think there should be a massive tax on the banks, massive, to go into a fund to help every single person that foreclosed during the financial crisis, right? So it's like Robin from the rich given to the poor, but I think it's justified and it's right. And I remember when I used to work in finance, I'd walk by these people that were, they Occupy Wall Street, and I was like, what is that? This is crazy. I get it now, and I stand shoulder to shoulder with them, and I would if that was still occurring to this day. Unfortunately, you can see a bit of a green tinge on my cheek there. Sorry about that, whatever. All right. Tomorrow I'll be perfect. Okay. So Avi Pro, late incoming, had to work. It's good to have you, buddy. And we got Kartik. Can you show me how to export financial statements of quarterly data from the last 5 years to Excel? If there's a website that does it, but yeah, let me wing this for you. Okay. And Excel's really important. I recommend people use Excel and nothing else. And I know that it might sound a little bit, controversial for me to say that. But I think it's important to use because it's the easiest tool to use to model the future. All right, give me 1 second here. Get this all set up here. Okay. All right, so let's go to, I don't know, Yahoo Finance, I guess. Let's go. I haven't done this in a while. But if you want to do it, we'll see if we can do it. Let's go to, I don't know, Apple. And then let's go to, I'm just making this up on the fly, sorry. Financials. Yeah, it won't let you do it. But if there's websites where you can actually export to what's called a CSV, you can do it that way. And a CSV is a comma separated value spreadsheet. Somebody told me export financials. It'll correct me to CSV. Sorry about that. All right, so yeah, I'm trying to find a website that does that. I don't know if there's a website that does that. Maybe you can do it. CSV historical prices. You can do it, and I've done it before here in Excel. Or you can export this here, and then import it directly into Excel. You just save it as a CSV. And for those of you that took my complete financial analyst course, you'll know exactly how to do it. I set up a process where you just kind of copy and paste this directly into Excel. It works. So if we download the data here, it's downloading here into a CSV file, comma separated file, and then you double click it. It'll open Excel. It'll give you a little warning box usually. Oh, I installed numbers. That's why. So hold on a second. Open with fetching, isn't it? All right, it's going to take too long to find it. So on this computer, so I'll go to Excel here, and I'll open that document. I'll just show you how it works, the whole process in general. So you go to File, Open, and this will help you out when it comes to anything you want to import into a CSV. Okay, so go to Downloads here. This is the CSV file that was imported. There you go. So what happens? Just ignore that. What happens is it imported all that data into separate columns, and all it did was this. It had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns with commas in between. That's why it's called CSV. And Excel is smart enough to know when you import a comma separated value folder or file that it'll put it in the right places, right? So anyway, that's how it works. If you have follow-up questions on that, please let me know. Let me just make me bigger again with a background that's not distracting. Okay, good. All right, Daniel's saying, hi, Chris, happy holidays. Same to you, dude. I'm wondering your thoughts on the employment opportunities for the founder of a failed startup who has an MBA and a few years of corporate experience and tries to re-enter the corporate job market. I've been there. I don't know if you're talking about yourself or somebody else, but all that experience you had starting your own company is amazing because, and you can use this in your interviews. It taught you how to be a jack of all trades, right? You understand how to do your own accounting, your own finance, your own marketing, your own advertising, your own HR, how to work smarter and not harder, how to get things done on a much smaller budget. So for budgeting purposes, that will help you a lot in a big company. I'm just giving you fuel to use for your interviews. And what I want you to do, like I always mention, is go to harounventures.com, my website. And then on the homepage, just download the networking book and read it cover to cover, because that will teach you how to get meetings. And the best way to get a job is not applying for a job online, because every time you see a job application opening up, you've got millions of people that are applying for the same job. Best thing to do is to network your way in. Find a way to know people that work there. And the best way to do that is to use my book, which is free. Okay. But it happens, dude. It happens all the time. But again, you can basically say what I learned was this, and I'm more capable of adding value to a big company because of these reasons, whatever it is. You understand budgeting, and anyway, you're a jack of all trades. You learn a lot of new skills. Okay. All right, Dante's saying, do you know what's the random walk theory? Do you think efficient market theory or behavioral finance is more relevant in today's market? Okay, so there's a great book called A Random Walk Down Wall Street, which was written by Peter Lynch. And Peter Lynch was a great portfolio manager at Fidelity on the Magellan Fund. And now a buddy of mine I used to work with is now managing that fund. We interned at Goldman together. But what it means is this. Don't invest in things unless you try them. Okay, and Peter Lynch used to do that with his wife, for example. He invested in a pantyhose company. Remember those pantyhose used to come in eggs. It looked like an egg-shaped plastic thing at drugstores. I don't know if they still have them, but that's just one example he gave. So always do your own research that way before investing. So I think it's very relevant. Next up is efficient market theory is more, or behavioral finance is more relevant. I think they're both equally important. So efficient market theory kind of tells you that if a company is fairly valued or not, and there's this formula used for diversifying a portfolio, and the crux of it, the bottom line is managing a diversified portfolio, which is important. Obviously, it's important to diversify your risk. Now, when it comes to behavioral finance, there's a guy who won a Nobel Prize recently. Fuller is his name, Richard Fuller, I think. And he runs a firm out here called Fuller and Taylor. One of my best friends growing up, David Potter, is a pardon me, a portfolio manager there, and they invented behavioral finance. And behavioral finance is basically, and University of Chicago is great at that theoretical stuff. So behavioral finance is basically buy based on other people's behaviors. So if a CEO is buying a lot of his or her shares back from in a company, buying a lot of shares, that's a positive behavioral signal. If they're selling a lot, pardon me, if they're selling a lot and it's not part of a planned selling program, that's a negative signal. So they vote with their wallet. So both equally important. All right, next up, we've got Zach. Hey, Zach, how are you? I remember last week, the week before, you said it's okay that I call you Zach. So how are you, man? Hi, Chris. Can you explain in more detail 52-week high and low in the stock market? Yeah, absolutely. So the 52-week high and 52-week low is basically it's basically an indication where a stock is right now relative to where it has been. And let me go back to small, and I will show you. And let me just pick a random stock here. All right, so let's go here to Apple, whatever. Oops, it's historical data for Apple. Here we go, good. All right, so you got 52-week, here you go, low and high is the range. So the lowest that Apple has been over the past 52 weeks is, let me just do 1 year because that's 52 weeks, right? Is 146, which is close to where it is right now. The highest it's been is 233 or so in the fall. And it's important because, well, first of all, when you invest, I always recommend looking at fundamentals first, valuation second, and technicals last. And I want to give you a template for that as well. And so if you go to Haroun Ventures, Education Ventures works as well, it doesn't matter. HarounVentures.com/templates. What you can do is, this here is a template if you want to look at technical analysis for when you're coming up with ideas. And I'll show you what it means. And before you invest in any stock, what I want you to do is I actually want you to, hold on, let me just open this up. I want you to fill out this one pager. And I filled out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these. And a lot of the times what I'll do is I'll start filling these things out, and then I'll stop halfway through because I realize it's a bad investment. But what I think you should do is look at fundamentals first, valuation second, and technicals last. Now, if you're going to look at technicals, here are some of the things that I recommend here. Let me zoom in. Here we go. You can look at the 52-week low and high, but it doesn't tell you as much as looking at the 50-day and 200-day moving average. So the 50-day and 200-day moving average is the average the stock has been over the past 50 and 200 days respectively. If it goes through that moving average for more than a couple days and more than just a couple percent, a lot of traders will sell it and the stock will go down more. Okay, and you're playing with fire if you try to play this game, but you can if you want. And the RSI as well, Relative Strength Index. But what you can do is just go to my vlog, and I published a 15-minute vlog on technical analysis. And that will help you a lot understand all this stuff. You can also look at stuff like the short interest ratio, which tells you how short a company is. If it's shorted a lot, that's a good thing because that means if there's any less bad news out there, the stock will go up. And when a stock goes up on news that isn't that great, a lot of times it means it's found a bottom. And I can go into more detail there if you care. All right, let me go back here now. Go back to full screen, Chris. We'll do poppies. I feel I feel like I miss Canada a lot. Poppies. There we go. All right. A Nobel Prize winner suggested to buy a global fund index. Is it true that the average investor can't outperform the market in the long run? Yes, absolutely. And earlier on the call, and I know that you weren't here earlier, I talked about that, and I talked about ETFs in a lot of detail. So when Wrigley does the WebK replay, it's all done. Just click on ETF. The question, you can watch that. But I also talked about this, which is when genius failed. And this is a book about Nobel Prize winners that started a company called Long-Term Capital Management, which failed and almost destroyed the economy. It was so big. So I always want you to do your own homework and don't take advice just because somebody has won a Nobel Prize. And a lot of times when people win Nobel Prizes, a lot of times, but not always, they're professors with not as much work experience as others might have. Oof, I gotta be careful what I say. All right. And always do your own research as well. Always, Ken. Okay. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the apparel industry as a potential industry to launch a new company with. Any immediate reaction and noteworthy pros or cons? Be careful with the clothing industry. It's hard unless you establish a brand. Branding's the most important thing. Like if you make Gucci, which my kids say every now and then, Gucci, they don't know it's a bag company, it's just Gucci. But a company like Gucci or Versace, whatever, it took them decades to build up that brand. So you got to make sure you understand marketing as well, and you have to understand if you're going after high-end designers or low-end. And if it's lower mid-tier end, your manufacturing process will be different as well because you want to rush stuff to market that's going to fit in immediately. And I'll give you an example. Okay, Benetton. So what Benetton would do is they would make all their clothes beige, all of them. And right before the market, like the season when they were going to ship the products, they would kind of do a poll or go to fashion shows and find out what colors are in vogue. Very cheesy cliche there, Vogue, sorry. But if green is in vogue or in style, then they would dye. They would dye all their beige clothes green last second. They were a low-cost producer, okay, relatively speaking. I know they have high-end stuff too, but lower cost, relatively speaking. If you're going to be high, so lower cost, you have to focus on obviously low cost and get things to market quickly. It's very tough to compete in that market. Very, very tough. Now, high cost, you have to work for decades on building a brand like Gucci, Versace, that sort of thing. And I'm not an expert in this market, although I've invested a lot in retail companies in the past. What I recommend you do for the clothing industry, though, is this. I want you to go to audible.com or go to YouTube, and I want you to read books or watch biographies or listen to audibles on famous clothing designers and how they've done it. And I want you to follow their blueprint because they're much better off giving you advice than I am on that sector. And for those of you on the call that are starting companies in other sectors, just replace the word apparel or clothing with X, whatever X is, like tech sector, job or industry or industrial, that sort of thing. You get the idea. Okay. Bang & Olufsen, you're right. You're right. We were talking earlier in the call about the Sony Premium and the Apple Premium, and the same thing goes with Bang & Olufsen and arguably to Bose as well. Mr. Bose, God bless him, passed away recently. He's an MIT grad and a professor at MIT. He donated the entire company to MIT, which is pretty cool. All right. Next up, what do you think of business gurus like Gary Vaynerchuk, who are obviously very accomplished but sound like they make stuff up on the spot? The thing about Gary, and it's so funny you mentioned that. I don't know if you heard me talking about Gary Vee earlier in the call or not. I think he's the real deal. I think he's brilliant. I've never met him. Would love to one day, but I think he's very smart. But what I love about him is he's very transparent and honest and self-critical, and he'll also criticize. It's something I have trouble with. Criticize his audience to help them out. And Tony Robbins does this too in a loving way to try to give them therapy and stuff. I always provide much more positive feedback. But for those of you that are taking my MBA program or will be, the degree program, I promise you I'll give you constructive feedback. But I believe that when you manage people, you want to praise in public and only criticize in private. Okay. There's nothing worse than being berated or criticized by your manager unfairly, especially in front of other people. All right, next up we've got is this. Do you aim on growing your personal brand larger, and how do you envision it being? No, Alex, I love your questions. Thanks. I wonder, why is the default happy face look like kind of a cupcake smush? Like, what happened to the round happy face? And it's a YouTube thing now. So I'm going to keep building my brand. I'm having fun doing it. And so I'm partnering actually with Sasha Stevenson, who's she was one of my students. And for those of you that have been on these calls with me over the past 19 weeks, a couple of weeks ago she came on, and I'll show you. I think she's brilliant, and I'm going to learn a lot from Sasha as well, right? So let's go here to Sasha Stevenson. Okay, she's hysterical. Here she is here. And she's got, she's amazing, 670,000 subscribers. She's just reaching an inflection point. She's getting like 100,000 a week. She's going to be, she already is big, right? And if you go to a boot, you see she's got 73 or 74 million views now. It's amazing. Amazing. She had 70 million views, or less than that actually, a couple weeks ago. And she's been doing YouTube for a while, so she really, really understands it. And I mention this because I think everybody should YouTube. because what happens is YouTube is the only gold rush in history where it costs you next to nothing, meaning just a cell phone if you want, to make these vlogs, these videos. And you can reach the entire world as customers. And there's no barriers to entry anymore. It's amazing. It's amazing. And I think we're going to look back on this YouTube gold rush and say, I wish I had created more content. Because everything you create in YouTube is a franchise, and eventually you can monetize if you want to. I just want to help people though. And so look at this. Here's all of her videos. Let's go to, if you want to learn how to YouTube, just check out how she does it. And again, we're teaching a course together on this. She's amazing. So you can look at all her videos here, and then what we can do is we can, she's funny too. She's Canadian, I found out. And then, anyway, she has some that have had millions and millions of views. She's incredible. A week ago, she released this, already has that many subs. So she's amazing. I'm learning from her, and that's how you build a brand, I think, is using YouTube. And I'll continue to do so. And once I completely figure it out, then we'll release that course together. As you can tell, I have been making mistakes. I don't mind taking risks, but I put this stuff up on the wall. The problem is you can see through it. No. I put this stuff up on the wall and it fell down. I had the door open, that's why. And I moved the light, and it was kind of a fire hazard, whatever. So anyway, for those of you that are still in the call, I'm really, really sorry about that delay. Hopefully my son, Dylan, entertained you for a couple seconds. All right, let's see what's next. So yeah, I'm always going to grow my personal brand. I'm learning from Sasha. I'm learning from Gary Vaynerchuk as well. And I'm learning from you. I'm learning from all of you. Like, you guys don't realize this, but you teach me so much just by the nature of your questions. It's great. And it's a lot of fun too. Okay. So and in terms of branding, one thing I want to keep doing is I don't want to release videos and make it seem like I'm selling to you. That's why at the end of all my vlogs, and I'm on day 151 today, and I promised all of you 151 days ago that I would vlog every day for the next decade. So I'm on day 151 now. And that's why at the end of all my vlogs, I say, if this was helpful, and only if this was helpful, please click the like button and subscribe. And I'll see you mañana. And mañana means tomorrow in Spanish. Beautiful language. All right. What are my favorite strategies for business? So the best business models in the world are the ones where you have leverage. You can infinitely scale that business model, right? And that's why I love software business models as well as internet business models, because what happens is you write once, read many. So when I create a course online, all I have to do is write it one time, and then it sells around the world and whatever, in every country in the world. And there's not as much maintenance, which I do through just Q&A, whatever, which is fun for me. So the best business models in the world are the ones where you don't have inventory, where you can build something that is scalable, where the fixed overhead is done, right? Maybe your fixed overhead is just buying this to film a course, whatever it is. Ouch. That sort of thing. But it's really scalable. Inventory can destroy a company. Another thing I like, and I've talked about before, and you can search my vlog if you want more details on this, is platforms. The best business models in history, and my favorite business models and favorite strategies are platforms. Right? If you own the road, you charge the cars and the toll booths too. That's a great platform. It's a great business model. Like Facebook is a social media platform. Apple, iOS is a platform as well. And so is the Android operating system, Android store. Okay, regarding operating systems, there is only one Linux. I hear ya. Okay, so Abby Pro is saying Apple is better than Microsoft Windows, but the best is Linux, Unix. Yeah. So if you're and in my cryptocurrency course, I actually showed you how to mine using Linux as well. So let me explain what Linux is to everybody else. So Apple and Windows wouldn't exist without Linux, and it was Bell Labs, so and Research Park that kind of pioneered Unix. And Unix is basically remember the old DOS prompt, how you can see just lines of code and stuff like the Matrix, the green stuff. In the pre-Windows days, that's Unix, and a lot of people used it, and it's very powerful if you can master it now, because you can get things done very, very quickly. Like when you go out to the DOS prompt, it's sort of like Unix. And then Linux is a version of Unix. And Linux was basically, so Unix is free open software, right? Anybody can get it. And companies that add maintenance and charge you maintenance fees on Unix products or Linux products or companies like Red Hat that have their own version of Linux. Another one is SUSE, which Novell bought or owned years ago, SUSE Linux, and there's others as well. There's many different flavors. And so Unix is that open source thing, and then Linux is just one flavor of it. And there's this guy named Linus Torvalds. He's a rock star. I've seen him a couple times present at Comdex in 1999 and 2000. And he created Linux. That's why it's called, it's his name, Linus Torvalds. So brilliant guy. I prefer Macs just because I love the Windows thing. It's fun. It's fun for me. In fact, when I was a kid, they thought I had a learning disability. And then my dad bought me a computer, my first Mac. And I turned into a nerd and I loved it. So I love Windows stuff. That was fun. All right. And Geronimo agrees with you. Cool. All right, Rohit is saying, are you a growth investor or a value investor? Which approach is right? Which one do you recommend? So everybody's different. I'm not going to tell you how to invest, but people are either a growth investor. I want to put my arms out wide. I can't because, ow, that hurts. People are either a growth investor or a value investor. I feel like when the bill comes at a restaurant, I'm with friends, I always say, I have alligator hands. I can't find my wallet. So you're a growth investor or a value investor. And growth investors like to buy things that are very expensive, but growing fast. Okay, and venture capitalists are growth investors. Then there's value investors. You know, people like, I just went out on a limb for you there to get a book. How was that? Like Warren Buffett. Okay, Warren Buffett, he's a value investor. Value investors, people like to buy cheap stuff that's not growing quickly. That's why it's cheap. So you have to decide what you are. A lot of people that are younger, that are in university, or in school, are value investors because in school they learn, oh, low price earnings multiple makes sense. Oh, like that stuff, right? You know, buy cheap stuff only. Then they start working for a while, and they get older, and they're like, you know, I want to buy things that are growing quickly. It's just a different flavor you have, and it gets really contentious. It's like religion for some people too. You know, if you tell someone you're a value investor and someone's a growth investor, they'll try to rip you a new one or argue with you. And vice versa as well. So, chacun son goût. Dante, that's French, of course, as you know, Canadian, for to each their own. I'm a growth investor, but I was value when I was younger. So, and don't ever buy a stock that is not value or not growth, because if it's stuck in the middle, as no man's land, and every growth stock becomes a value stock eventually. But that transition from value to growth can take 10 years. And that 10 years is called investment purgatory. I coined it, whatever, that phrase. I don't know if it makes sense, whatever. And I say it's investment purgatory because growth investors don't want to buy it. Value investors don't want to buy it. It takes 10 years to transition. So it's just dead for 10 years. So anyway, and what makes it not dead for 10 years, what can quickly speed up the process or the catalyst to make it a value investment from growth, is if a shareholder activist comes in, like Carl Icahn, and they muscle their way on the board, they get a board seat, and they break up the company. Okay. All right. Next up, let's see what I've got. All right. Geronimo is saying, Chris, have you ever thought about trying to find a place to build a virtual community for your followers and students, like one of these meet groups that you're showing? That's a great idea. I appreciate that. And I'm thinking about it. A lot, and Wrigley is my resident technology and social media advisor and partner and buddy and friend. So I am thinking about it. You know, when I have the MBA program all done online, and thank you for this. Let's do a screen print of that because I want to foster a sense of community. Like I love it when you all help each other out. That's how you say it in Canada. Out. It's not out, Americans. So, yeah, we will have something on our platform for that. I'm not sure what it's going to be. Yeah. All right. All right. So I got a question saying, sir, please call me Chris. Thanks. Which language to learn to start in data analyst in India? I think Python's always a great way to go. But if you want to keep it fun first, before you do Python, what I recommend doing is playing around with Excel and learning Visual Basic for Excel. And I have a course coming out on that, actually, the complete Excel course at some point. But I want to show you, actually, because this is what gets a lot of people interested in programming earlier on. So let me just close this out. I'm not going to save it. And then I'm going to go over to Excel. All right, great. So what you can do in Excel is I got to fly, sorry. Everything that could possibly go wrong today is going wrong, okay? At least I have my health, sort of. So the developer tab, you're going to have to go and add that tab in yourself, do a Google search on how to do that. And then I want you just to start off by drawing buttons, okay? And then you can add code behind the buttons as well, okay? And the code behind it is people refer to as macros. But actually what happens is you can actually insert your own code behind that box. But play around with it in Excel first. And you can add these little options, buttons, whatever. And then that fly is driving me crazy. Sorry. When I get stressed, I laugh in a good way. Combo boxes you can add, etc. Okay, so anyway. Oh, and if you take my course, the Complete Business Plan course, at the very end of the course, I teach you how to make that business plan template in Excel from scratch. That's a great way to start. Just learn Excel first. It's fun, and you can tie it together with code as well if you wanted to. And then you can graduate and move on to Python. Dude, can you hear the fly? Wrigley, let me know if you can hear the fly. Crazy. All right. Sorry about this, guys. Hold on a second. Let me see. All right, a little change of scenery there. We got some flights. Okay. All right. Yeah. Avi Pro saying there are several alternatives to Chrome, like Vivaldi Opera. And the best SR-ware iron. Yeah, I used to use Opera. I almost invested in the French side of it years ago. The problem was it was very illiquid back in 2003 and 4 when I was looking to buy the stock. And so what illiquid means is a stock that doesn't trade that much. So you become a stockholder instead of a shareholder. I played around with it as well. And what I used to like about Opera as a Linux offering, so to speak, is that it's very small. So if you have a computer that you don't have much memory on and stuff, using it, might work for you. The problem is if nobody uses Flash anymore, but whatever. If you want to use advanced plugins and stuff, you can't do it with that, unless you're Avi Pro. Avi Pro, I figured it out. Trump, okay, Avi Pro is saying Trump equals O'Leary, which is the Ryanair in the aviation business. So it's interesting. So Ryanair is, I think it's an Irish airline company. I used to invest in it years ago. When I used to do industrials at a big hedge fund. And Ryanair is brilliant because what they've done is they've created very cheap travel in Europe. And the way they've done that is there's no seat pockets on the back so that they don't have to send in a crew to clean up the airline. And that way they can jam in a lot more seats as well. Oh, because the seats can't go back. They can jam in tons more. It's a low-cost airline. Wrigley, can you hear that fly? Sorry. All right. Okay, so okay, a question is, if I want to do anything differently over your whole career, what would that be? Nothing. Maybe not chasing money early on, right? But I'm kind of philosophical and religious, and sometimes I don't understand why things happen, but I thank God for everything that's happened to me in my life. It's kind of sent me down this path, although I'm very annoyed by this fly. I don't know if you can see it. So nothing. And for those of you that are worried, and I earmuffs if you don't want to hear religious things. Sorry, it's just who I am. But don't get worried because God already knows what's going to happen. And that should give you peace of mind. And Winston Churchill had this great quote. I went into the war rooms in England during the summer where Winston Churchill managed World War II under grounds close to Buckingham Palace. And he had so many great quotes. And one of them was, I'm going to butcher it, but he said, I once knew a man who on his deathbed, all he talked about was all the worries he had in his life, most of which never came true. So... Okay. Oh, yeah. Rohit has asked me about blitz scaling. I just downloaded that book. It's so funny. I don't know yet. But the reason I downloaded that book on audible.com, you probably saw it there. Let me, and Reid Hoffman, for those you don't know, is the founder of LinkedIn. He wrote a great book everyone should read called The Startup of You. and he just wrote one recently called Blitzscaling. I just bought it because I went out to dinner with a buddy of mine on Saturday night. Our families did. That's how. By the way, when you get older and you have kids, your friends are your kids' friends' parents. Okay, so great people. And the father recommended that I read that book because I'm growing my business fast. Right, and this MBA thing is going to grow quickly. It's going to be great. It's going to be manageable growth. But I downloaded it to learn how to grow my business faster. And Rohit, check back with me in a couple weeks because by then I'll hopefully have read the book or been part of the way through it. I downloaded an Audible only. Okay. Okay, so Alex, no apologies, please, ever. Oh, cool. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, Chris, don't overdo it. It works as is. We're good. All right, this is the part of the webcast. Just like remember when you couldn't hear me for a while, and somebody said this is now I know what it feels like to be deaf. Like I was like I was a mime. Okay, but the reason I fixed it, there's other things going on behind there you didn't see. I was talking to Christine as well, through Dylan. Anyway, we're going on vacation. I'm gonna have to not be very long with the rest of this call. I apologize. And it was also a fire hazard, dude. It was a fire hazard. So, and I always carry these and other fire things as well. So I got that from my dad, though. My dad's he's a radiologist, which means he fixes radios. So he's a perfectionist. Always has been. And I love it when you guys make fun of me because it makes me laugh. And as Sting said in his great song, Englishman in New York, it takes a man to suffer ignorance and smile. Be yourself no matter what they say. There you go. Great tune. All right, hold on one second. I'm so sorry about today, guys. Wrigley, lol. Be back in a minute, Chris. Okay, in one of the groups that I managed, this is Geronimo, we did an activity where we shared 10 lessons, books, or resources that were important in 2018. Can you list 10 of those from your life in 2018? Wow. Okay. So when it comes to media and books, I don't always find out what they are until maybe a year or two later. Right. A lot of times I don't read new things or I don't watch new TV shows until other people tell me it's good, it's worth watching. That way I don't invest my time in that. So for me, I guess one book I loved was by the co-CEO of SAP, and I'm drawing a blank right now. But when I remember it, I'll tell you what it is. It was about him starting his own companies. The Winner's Dream. The Winner's Dream. I love that. Listen to it on Audible because Bill McDermott, the co-CEO, it's coming back now. I had a senior moment. The co-CEO of SAP. He talks about sales, and he's the best salesman I've ever met. And if you're going to be successful in business, you have to learn how to sell. And learn from Bill McDermott. He's great. Let's see what other resources, lessons. Wow, it's hard. So I actually had, what I did was I had Dylan, who came in a couple minutes ago. He's a smaller version of me. I actually had him write down his goals. And I went to Etsy and I ordered a frame. And for those of you that haven't written down your goals yet for 2019, please do so now. In order to motivate you, I want to show you what to do, right? So if we go to, if it's going to ask me to log in, I won't do it. But Etsy.com, this is where I bought it from. It's asking me to sign in. I'm not going to do it now, but whatever. So I ordered a really nice picture frame here to go around Dylan's goals, right? And you can get these rustic ones, gorgeous old ones, if you wanted to. Just check it's working. Okay, good. And you can add it on the outside, right? And so I had one custom made through here. It's coming soon. And I had Dylan. It looks kind of like this, actually. Yeah, similar to this one. It's the same designer as this dude's here. And Dylan's going to put it on his wall. And it's his goals. Actually, I ordered this exact one right here. And when it comes, it's supposed to come today, actually. I'll show you in next week's call, whatever. But I had Dylan write down his goals, right, for next year. I recommend you get your kids to do the same thing. And Derek Jeter, his parents made him do that as well every year. And that's why he's so successful. Write down your goals, put it on your wall. Okay. Or also put it in these things and have it repeat it as a calendar entry. Okay. But my goals for the year, I want to spend more time with family. I found that I've been so into work, and it's sad because what happens is this: by the time your child is 12 years old, you've already spent. Wrigley said he heard the fly. Thanks, it's gone now. By the time your child is 12 years old, you've already spent 90% of the time you'll ever spend with them. So spend more time with family, exercise more, even more, right? And so I have this thing here. It's called a Whoop band. WHOOP, and it helps me a lot in terms of understanding if I'm getting enough exercise. And this too, this is my Fitbit. I like the old one. I buy them used when I lose them. I like this one a lot. I put it here. It counts steps and my sleep as well. And this thing here, it's called Whoop, WHOOP. There's a great app as well, which will tell me, when you're starting to feel a little bit sick, but you're not sure, then you go to the gym and you get sick. This thing will tell me when not to exercise. So I'm going to try to monitor my health a lot more. I'll continue to do these shakes. There's kale in it. I'll also continue, and this is where you're going to think I'm crazy, but I'm not. Well, maybe a little bit. These are my vitamins and herbs I take every day. A lot of these are not actually vitamins, they're herbs, okay? Anyway, so just, and I got it from a guy named Ray Kurzweil, who heads up engineering at Google. He's brilliant, and I want to live forever. So I don't know, I want to live a very long time. I want to live to be 200. So that way I can help as many people as I can humbly. And so other ones, let me think, what other goals do I have? Automation. I want to automate everything in my life. So for example, and I'll show you this in a minute, but I automated YouTube so that my YouTube videos are automatically uploaded at 11 o'clock. So 40 minutes ago, one of them should have automatically been uploaded. I can't remember what it was. I think the one, it was on how to be a better investor. So I want to automate everything, right? And Mark Benioff talks about Salesforce automation. I want to automate my life, everything, so I can spend more time with my kids, et cetera, and Christina, of course. Like this one here is one of those IoT devices for the lights, right? So I want to be able to instead of walking around managing these lights, tell Siri which lights to turn on and stuff. And I've got a lot of this stuff in my house just to help me work smarter and not harder as well. So automation is one thing, and I actually use a great app called which I highly recommend. It's called TubeBuddy, I think. And I actually want to show you, because for those of you that are YouTubing, and if you're not, you should. I want to show you that this thing. It's amazing, right? So let's go to YouTube. So when I type in YouTube, all right, here it is here. Okay, you'll see that I've got this little plugin here, and it's called TubeBuddy. This is so embarrassing. I have it on Chrome, but not on this computer. I apologize. But TubeBuddy will help me, do tons of things like change the cards on my YouTube videos with one click, change all of them, change the end screens as well. So check out TubeBuddy if you can. Not as prepared as I usually am for these things. Sorry, Christmas we had and stuff. Install free on Safari. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to bog down this, but try that out if you want. And just marketing automation in general. There's a company called If This Then That, IFT, which was founded by the Tibbetts brothers from Texas. I met with them, almost invested from a venture capital perspective. They're amazing, and I started using their technology in 2013 whenever certain stocks I owned went up more in a certain amount, the lights in my bathroom would turn green, vice versa, they turn red, that sort of thing. It was just fun. But I want to do it for more practical reasons as well, marketing automation, so I can really live my life on my terms. Okay, I gotta go back to the beach now. All right, and as I think about more than Toronto, thank you, and you guys all inspire me, and I've said that a million times before. All right, so let's see. I'm so sorry to do this, but I actually have to leave at noon because family thing. We're doing something. Sorry, a little bit complicated, but we're going away on a trip. But I have cameras everywhere if bad person's watching. None of my students, but anyway. All right, so I'm going to go through the rest of these questions really, really fast. And I apologize, and please save your questions for next week if I don't answer them. I know that I say this call goes on forever, and it always does. It's just family. I hope you understand. Okay, and if you want a refund, I completely understand. Okay, so I'm going to go through these really, really fast. Okay. All right, nice desk, Dylan. All is good, Chris. What books recommend? I already talked about that earlier. And by the way, Wrigley, he's working on automation for this too. He gets all the questions written up, and then at different times. So if you miss part of this webcast, you can always come back to it in a day or two, and you can go in the question field and just do a search, Control F or whatever it is. Scroll down on the word books, and you'll find out what books I recommended. Otherwise, I'll talk about it in more detail next week. Avi Pro, let's go. Fix another day. Sorry, dude. Thanks. Okay. This is where it's going to get funny. So Akil's saying, how is Samsung able to come back with a Note 7 bombshell? What should you do when your company is hit hard? So I always believe that crisis leads to opportunity. And that competition is good for the consumer and the company as well. If it weren't for Samsung and Android, these things wouldn't be as good as they are today, right? And we'd have to pay for software upgrades, right? I used to pay for software upgrades. Imagine that. So I really believe in co-opetition in all aspects of life and business. You know, when I worked at Goldman Sachs, they always had co-heads of divisions because it motivated one or the other to work really hard and eventually won whatever. Corporate Darwinism, I guess you call it. And the same thing with music, with Lennon and McCartney. You know, the Beatles wrote their best stuff when they were together after they split up. You know, I'm still a sucker for all of Paul McCartney's albums, and I mean that in a loving way because some of the songs sound Beatlesque. But the whole Lennon-McCartney thing helped each other. And the same thing when it comes to sports with Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig. When you have two star players in one team, they motivate each other. Might happen with Aaron Judge and Giancarlo next year. We'll see with the Yankees. But I really believe in competition, or competition and co-opetition as well. And competition is good for the consumer. And so I think the reason that Samsung was able to come back and just come out with so many innovative products is because of this, and vice versa. And I don't think we'd have a full screen iPhone like this if it weren't for Android coming out with it first. Or maybe it would have taken longer. So anyway, competition is good for the consumer. Thanks, Rohit, for the comment on Dylan. He's a brat. I love him, man. He's great. Okay. I'll fix your arm next year. I'll be an SFO. Awesome. Awesome. Thanks. And I'll do, you know what, when you're here, let me know, because what I'll do is around you, because you brought this up, I'll settle I'll set up a get together, and I'll settle my debts. No, I'll set up a get together for everybody. And maybe I'll do this call one day in person. You guys will kind of be like my studio audience. With better lighting. Sorry about that. All right, so I got 14 minutes left. What matters most, knowledge or intelligence? I think knowledge, and I would hire somebody that's motivated over somebody that's bright any day. I think that people that are exceptionally gifted become somewhat inherently lazy in many cases. Like maybe they didn't study hard at school. They're like, it's easy for me. And they don't know what it means to work hard. And actually you can, if you build up too much confidence in your kids by saying, you're so smart, it can actually hurt them in the long run. It can make them a little bit, according to these books I'm reading, a little bit less confident. Of course, I don't say anything negative to my kids. I give them a lot of encouragement. So I always recommend hiring somebody that's hungry. You know, poor, smart, and hungry. That's willing to work hard. There's nature and nurture. I don't know. I think hiring people that are motivated is better than hiring somebody that's is born with a silver spoon in their mouth. Everything's given to them, because they're not going to be productive and they're going to be tough to manage. You know, it's if somebody reminds me they went to Harvard in a job interview out here, I'm like, this guy's so not getting hired. Right. So anyway, I love somebody that just works hard. And that's why I don't believe that you have to have a university degree from the best school in order to be successful, which is one of the reasons why with my MBA program, you don't have to have a degree. Okay. Greetings from Cairo. My people represent Imshi Yawalit. That's what my dad used to say to me as a kid. My dad's Egyptian. He grew up just 2 hours south of Cairo in Sohag. And by the way, for those of you that have parents that grew up in a different country, and you've never been to that country, what I want you to do with them this vacation is this, before it's too late. I want you to go to Google Earth, right? Sit down beside them. And I want them to show you where they grew up. Okay, because my dad did that recently. I asked him to in Cairo. I've never been to Egypt. And my dad said, this is where I used to walk to get a loaf of bread. And there's the Orthodox church I used to go to. Right, that sort of thing, right? So anyway, do that. All right. All right, thanks, Wrigley, for that. I appreciate it. Oh my God, there might not be more questions anyway, so I'll be okay to wrap this up. All right, hold on a second. All right, Jeremy is saying, okay, hold on a second. Jeremy is saying, all good, Chris. I personally understand perfectionism. Thank you. Thank you. So embarrassing. Sorry about that. But there was more than that. There's other stuff going on too. I had this light and fire hazard and anyway, whatever. Sorry. Okay. Thank you all for waiting. All right, Joe is saying, Chris, can you explain the most valuable professional certifications and which finance sectors they relate to? So the CFA is the only one worth taking. If you want to be an accountant, obviously an accounting degree, they're different in different countries. So the CPA would make sense. CPA is actually good to have if you want to do accounting, if you're passionate about it. If you're not passionate, don't do it. But if you want to learn about finance and you want to do a finance MBA or whatever, if you want to get a designation, the CFA is awesome. And that stands for, oh, hey, Dylan. Hi, come on in. Is Mommy calling?
No.
All right, come on in. Sorry, I'm going to do the rest of this webcast with Dylan on my lap. Dylan, come here. So, somebody said they like your they like your confidence. That's awesome. Must have got it from your mother. All right, so the CFA is good, and that's a Certified Financial Analyst program. Okay, this is the part where I ask people for likes because no one's going to do dislike with this adorable face here. Actually, George Bush Sr., what he used to do, I love that guy, I miss him. What he used to do is when he'd go to baseball games, when he was campaigning to get elected for whatever position it was, he would walk out to throw the opening pitch holding the hand of a kid because he knew no one would boo him, right? So come on, bring on the thumbs up. Ask for thumbs up, Dylan. There you go. He's a mime. Okay. So,
Dad.
Yeah?
I got you skins on Fortnite that are free.
Oh, really? Which skins?
PlayStation Plus.
Oh, nice. Nice. Excellent. Now they know I play Fortnite. Okay, let's see what else I've got here. All right. Yeah, so CFA is worth it if you want a certification. And I know that the highest percentage of CFAs per capita is in Toronto. It's very respected there. Different places in the world respect it more and vice versa as well. CFA if you want. All right. And CFA is 3 years. And you take it at night. You study at night for 3 years. And it's every May is when the test in. We got to leave at noon, right? Yeah. Is Mom packed?
What?
Is Mom packed?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. So CFA, there's 3 levels: level 1, 2, and 3, which you do over 3 years during the evenings, and then you write an exam. I wrote level 1, which was a repeat of my MBA, and it's really sad actually. I'll tell you why. When I wrote level 1, I wrote it just after 9/11. It was actually early 2002. I wrote it in New Jersey, and it was in a big warehouse, 5,000 people literally. And before the CFA exam level 1, they made all of us stand up. And they said, we want to have a moment of silence for the following CFA charter holders that died on 9/11. And that list went on forever. Anyway, so let's see here. But yeah, level 1 is basically an MBA. Okay, Chris, what I was supposed to say, don't shake the desk. What accounting software should I learn as a student to improve my skills in accounting? You know, my favorite one is QuickBooks. I love it. I actually use it. It's amazing. I have my accountant doing most of the stuff, but I use it. It's just fun. Anything Intuit makes, ticker INTU, they make Quicken as well, is a great product. So try QuickBooks Online. That's what I'd recommend. And I know there's more relevant, newer cloud stuff, but the people you're interviewing with, careful, sweetie, that could hurt your hands. See, look, you can lose your finger there. You got to be careful. I don't want you to lose your hand. Yeah, sorry. That's dad humor. See how he's laughing so hard? But the people you're interviewing with, and that's why I always recommend to write your resume in the Harvard Business School format, because older people are doing the hiring, and they're used to the HBS, 2/3 of which is BS format. And the same thing with QuickBooks. They've all done it that way as well. They've used QuickBooks over the years. So you learn QuickBooks. It's fun. You can get a free trial as well. I love it. It's fun. It's fun. And it teaches you money in, money out instead of boring accounting stuff. Okay. All right. Tell Mom I'll be there soon, okay?
Okay.
All right. Sorry, I got to wrap this up in a second here. All right. I'm so confused about whether I should pursue a career in finance or accounting. Can you advise me? I'm currently doing ACA. Is that accounting? Accounting. Which is the Association of Chartered Accountants. Thanks for the help. Okay. So take my course called Introduction to Finance, Accounting, Valuation, and Modeling if you want. It'll explain the difference between accounting and finance. Now, I'll sum it up quickly though. Accounting is like a science, right? You have to be precise, and it's backwards looking. You're creating statements for what's already occurred in the past. Finance is more of an art. You know, you've got a blank palette, and you're predicting the future. You got a crystal ball. So it depends what you like more, art or science. Do you want to be creative or not? Do you want to be precise or not? That's what I recommend. Okay. Are you comfortable with uncertainty and taking risks? That's what finance is. All right, but it all comes down to what do you enjoy more. And you can take my courses, whatever, or other courses on Udemy from accounting and finance teachers. And after you take those courses, whatever feels like work to you, don't do. All right, hey Gagan, how are you? How do you see social entrepreneurship doing in terms of new ventures, market maturity, and support from organizations? I'm from India, and I would like to know the scenarios in the U.S. So social entrepreneurship, I think that like a lot of universities embrace it because the universities they usually do the right thing and they're ahead of the curve when it comes to social stuff, if you know what I mean. But I think if you're going to do it, don't approach venture capital firms. Approach high net worth investors that are socially conscious. Okay, that will invest in your idea. And you can read my book on harounventures.com on networking to get meetings with people that invest in ventures that are socially responsible. Okay. All right. And so let me see here. I've got my last questions, or do I? Let's see here. All right. Yeah. So I'm going to go through this really fast, and then I got to head out because I'd like to stay married. Okay. Oh, and by the way, I learned one quick thing. So if your wife's parents are close by and you have dinner with them, and the next week your wife asks you, do you want to have dinner with my parents? If your answer is, didn't we have dinner with them last week? All she hears is, you hate my parents. Okay, don't do what I do. Just kidding. They're great. They're amazing. Actually, when you have your first kids, the in-laws are no longer the outlaws. All right. Thank you. Regarding the podcast, we'll do it. Wrigley and I have been talking about it. We might actually take it out of chunks from this call. We don't know yet, but we're looking into that. And we talked to a good friend of mine I went to high school with named Steve Pratt, with 2 T's. Steve Pratt. He is the authority on podcasts out of Vancouver. Smart guy. He actually, Dante, you'll love this. He advised Shopify as well. I think that's public. Yeah, it's public. Yeah, on their podcast, Strategy. All right, J. Matthew Turner. Hi, Chris. In your resume course, you recommend a particular version of the Harvard resume format, but there appear to be many Harvard resume formats. Is there a reason you picked that specific one? Yes, because a lot of older executives use that format. And sometimes it's older executives that will bless a resume and decide whether or not to hire you. And it's the most simplistic in 3 buckets: education, experience, personal. And you always lead with your most flattering one, the one you want to brag about the most. Okay. Next up is, hi, Chris. Shout out from Guam. Guam is in the house. Thank you. Thank you for all the knowledge you shared. Thank you for joining us. And I apologize for the delay earlier. Thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate that. Joe, thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. Actually, my son, Andrew, his middle name is Joe. And I have another son named Matthew. Okay, Akil, how do you approach a problem in life and business? So God, that's a tough one to end on. All right, this will be my last question. It's very generic, but I think longer term. Okay, and I also think in terms of, this is a good way to answer it. Tony Robbins taught me this. In terms of pain and pleasure. Everything you do in your life, right? Think to yourself, am I going to get this much pleasure out of it in the long run? Sorry. Yeah, pain and pleasure. Okay, so little things like this. So if I eat this entire chocolate cake, this will give me this much pleasure, but that much pain, because I'll gain weight. Think about everything in life in terms of pain and pleasure. It'll make you longer term focused as well. I am so sorry. And thank you for the love from India, love from Hillsborough, California, to all of you. I love you all. Happy New Year. I do have to go, but within 24 hours or so, this will all be typed up. Again, I apologize for my little wardrobe malfunction with my room here, the green screen thing. It won't happen again. I'm getting better. I'm learning. And next week, the resolution will be way better as well, because this is only 720. I'm doing 1080p 60 frames per second instead of 30 frames next week with my 4K lens, which I'm nerding out. I love you all. Thank you for joining me. And I'll see you all next week. God bless. Thank you.